order the redevelopment agency meeting of May 10th, 2017. First item of business, approve the minutes of December 7th, 2016 as presented.
Move to approve.
Councilman Burton.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Jacob and a second by Board Member Burton. Discussion of the motion. Let's see none of the vote.
Board Member Burton.
Yes.
Chair Ralph.
Yes.
Board Member Jacob.
Yes.
Board Member McConaughey. Board Member Newton.
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't involved with that.
Okay. Board Member Anderson.
Yes.
Vote passes 5 in favor.
Business item 2B, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 189, adopting the tentative budget for the City of West Jordan Redevelopment Agency for fiscal year 2017-2018 and set June 14, 2017 as the budget public hearing. Mark, do you have anything?
The numbers that you see are the total numbers that are in each RDA. We don't know how much we're going to spend during the year because we don't know which companies may come in and which area to do that. So the total is put on there. Once we have a business, then we'll go ahead and change the budget, and then the council will meet as a board to do that at a later time.
Board members, the motion would be in order. Councilmember Anderson, Board Member Anderson.
I'll move to approve the budget as presented.
Board Member Burton.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Anderson, a second by Board Member Burton. Discussion of the motion? Yes, ma'am.
Board Member Anderson.
Yes.
Board Member Jacob.
Yes.
Chair Ralph.
Yes.
Board Member Burton.
Yes.
Board Member Newton.
Yes.
Board Member McConaughey. Vote passes 6 in favor.
I need a motion to adjourn the redevelopment agency meeting and convene the municipal building authority meeting.
So
A motion by Board Member McConaughey, a second by Board Member Jacob. All in favor? Aye. I call to order the municipal building authority meeting of May 10th, 2017. First item, approve the minutes of February 22nd, 2017 as presented. Board Member Jacob.
Move to approve.
Board Member Burton.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Jacob, and a second by Board Member Burton. Discussion of the motion? Let's vote.
Board Member McConaughey.
aye.
Board Member Jacob.
Yes.
Chair Ralph.
Yes.
Board Member Burton.
Yes.
Board Member Anderson.
Yes.
Board Member Newton.
Abstain, yes.
Vote passes 5 in favor.
Item 2B, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 93, adopting the tentative budget for the City of West Jordan Municipal Building Authority for fiscal year 2017-2018 and set June 14, 2017 as the budget public hearing. Bill, did you have anything on this?
Mark, do you want to handle that?
This is we're building the new public works facility through this municipal building authority, and so this is an amount for bond redemption. So that's the total amount that we'll be spending, and you'll see that reflected in the standard budget.
Motion to be in order for the board. Board Member McConaughey.
Move to approve resolution number 93.
Board Member Burton.
Second.
We have a motion and by Board Member McConaughey, a second by Board Member Burton. Discussion to the motion.
Yeah. Whoever you are. I just want to make sure that we understand that at this point I've only had a week to look at all of this, and well, I've done pretty well. I want to make sure that we all remember that this is not a final, that we can still make adjustments to any of this, provided we do it expeditiously, and we remember that if we change revenues, we have to change expenses and vice versa. So just add that with a little caution.
Let's vote.
Chair Ralph,
Yes.
Board Member Burton,
Yes.
Board Member Newton,
Yes.
Board Member McConaughey,
Aye.
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Jacob.
Yes.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn the Municipal Building Authority meeting and convene the Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District meeting.
So moved.
Second?
A motion by Board Member McConaughey, a second by Board Member Burton. Discussion of the motion? All in favor? I call to order the Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District meeting. First item of business, approve the minutes of December 7th, 2016 as presented.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion by Board Member McConaughey, a second by Board Member Burton. Discussion of the motion? Let's vote.
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Newton,
Abstain?
Board Member McConaughey, Board Member Jacob,
Yes.
Chair Ralph,
Yes.
Board Member Burton.
Yes.
Vote passes 5 in favor.
Business item 2B, approve resolution 17-74, adopting the tentative budget for the City of West Jordan Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District for the fiscal year 2017-2018 and set June 14, 2017 as a budget public hearing. Mark, you have-
Yes, similar to the other entities, this will establish the working document, so to speak, for the Fairway Estates and set the public hearing that we can, that's scheduled for the 14th.
Board members, a motion to be in order. Board Member Burton.
So moved to adopt?
Board Member Anderson.
Second?
And a motion by Board Member Burton, a second by Board Member Anderson. Discussion of the motion. Vote.
I have a question on this one, if I may. Do we have the expenses coming out of this fund over this past, that is projected for this next year?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Do we have any projected expenses out this next year from this fund?
Projected, sorry?
Do we?
Expenditures.
Yes.
Of the projected expenditures are, yes, $17,160.
Thank you.
Let's vote.
Board Member Burton,
Yes.
Board Member Newton,
Yes.
Board Member McConaughey,
Aye.
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Jacob,
Yes.
Chair Ralph.
Yes.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
We need a motion to adjourn the Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Board Member Kine. We have a motion by Board Member Newton, a second by Board Member McConaughey. All in favor? Aye. I now call to order the City Council meeting of May 10th, 2017. The first item will be a Pledge of Allegiance. That will be led tonight by Carson Evans from Troop 4075. Carson?
May the audience please stand? Please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag for the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The audience may be seated.
Thank you very much, Carson. We have a presentation tonight from Rocky Mountain Power. Will the council please step down and turn the time over to Rocky Mountain Power?
Mr. Mayor and esteemed council, it's my pleasure on behalf of Rocky Mountain Power to present you with this check for $240,298.50, which represents an incentive for participating in cost savings measures that will save, and I'll go over details shortly, but will end up saving the city a significant amount of money on utilities expenditures in the near-term future. And we appreciate our ability and our opportunity that we have to serve you as a utility provider to your community, and appreciate the opportunity that we have to work with you and with others in the community on your behalf. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
One, two. Thank you.
Mayor and councilmen and members of the city staff and administration, it's my pleasure to represent Rocky Mountain Power tonight to address you. It's our honor to serve you in the community, and besides providing safe and reliable electricity in the community, we've also been deeply involved in your community. And I'd like to take a few minutes to share with you some of the things that we've done in the past year to represent our company and to serve members of the constituency of this body and members of the community in West Jordan. A few facts about Rocky Mountain Power in West Jordan City. We serve 38,161 customer accounts. That represents 786,548,000 kilowatt hours of delivery. We sponsor several entities in the community in the last year, over $7,000 in donations to the Big Bend habitat area and the Western Stampede. The Rocky Mountain Power Foundation has donated $13,500 to several nonprofit organizations in the city of West Jordan. That includes the Victim Advocacy Program, the Westridge Academy, Jordan Education Foundation, South Valley Sanctuary. And as a part of a new program that we offer, it's called the Blue Sky Program. Over 1,180 voluntary customer participants participated in this program, including Blue Sky Funding Award to St. Joseph, the Worker solar installation in 2015. This includes the Subscriber Solar Program, which is a 20 megawatt facility that was constructed and placed into service last year near Holden, Utah, and 101 voluntary customer participants from West Jordan participate in that program for over 2 million kilowatt hours annually, which you can get additional details at utahsubscribersolar.net. Additionally, Rocky Mountain Power provides and participates in the WattSmart program, and West Jordan City is a customer, and there were 7 West Jordan City projects that saved a total of 337,000 kilowatt hours. These projects were in lighting and water pump variable frequency drive improvements, and that represents a total incentive savings of over $43,000 of incentives paid in 2016. The check that was presented a few moments ago represents over $240,000 of incentive savings. That represents 3 different projects for LED street lighting Those projects will save over 1,600,000 kilowatt hours per year and save over $130,000 per year in electrical costs. This is the environmental equivalent of taking almost 250 vehicles, passenger vehicles, off the road for 1 year. And additionally, in the WattSmart program, there are many different projects that have been completed in West Jordan City. Business and residential customers, through hundreds of individual projects, received a total of over $1 million in WattSmart incentives. These projects have saved a total of over 10 million kilowatt hours per year and garnered a total of over $640,000 in annual cost savings. This is the environmental equivalent of taking over 1,500 vehicles off the road for 1 year. Again, I just would like to thank you for the opportunity that we have to serve you and to serve the community. We value your partnership and look forward to continuing to serve the community and you as a city going forward, and appreciate your business.
Thank you very much. It's a great day for West Jordan. I know 3 years ago when we started the LED project, it was a big project to take on for the city, but now thankfully we're going to see benefits for years to come. Thank you very much for being willing to participate and help us on this program.
Thank you.
Chief McElwee has a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to introduce Trent Bristol, who is the area manager for the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. He's going to talk just briefly about item number 6A that's on your agenda tonight regarding an agreement that we would enter into, if so approved, with his organization. So I'd like to turn a few minutes over to him to explain a little more about that agreement and some of the things that we'll be doing this year that agreement allows us to do. So as Trent's coming up, I just also want to give a recognition to Deputy Chief Reed Sharman, who's here, who's taken this project on, and will continue to work on it as we go into the next phase of public outreach. And also, we put a lot of time and work into that, so I want to recognize him. Thank you. And I'll turn the time to Trent.
Thank you. Excuse me. As mentioned, my name is Trent Bristol. I'm the Wasatch Front Area Manager for the Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. And I appreciate you giving me a few minutes tonight on the agenda. In response to the 2012 fire season, which was pretty catastrophic, the governor charged our division to come up with a comprehensive plan to reduce the cost and the effects of those catastrophic wildfires. One of the things that we had to overcome, we had a pair of statutes that were kind of competing. At one point, there was a statute that said the county was responsible for all wildfire, and another statute that said counties and municipalities were responsible for the cost of wildfires within their jurisdictions. So what we ended up having, when we did have a wildfire that burned into a municipality, a lot of times we had people saying, well, it's the county's responsibility, and the county would say it's the city's responsibility. So through the course of 2 years of consensus building, we agreed as a state agency, as the state will now pay the cost for all of those large extended attack wildfires. So we've eliminated those two statutes. We've eliminated that conflict, and we're just saying we're going to step up and we're going to pay the cost for all of those. But what we want to do is we're going to do that in exchange for local governments taking on the management of their own risk. So what we've done is allowed ourselves. We passed a statute that now allows us to enter into a cooperative agreement with municipalities, similar to what we've done with the counties in the past. But what we're asking you to do is to invest a certain amount of funding into your own community in the form of fuel mitigation, in the form of preparedness and preparation, and just make sure that we're maintaining we want to maintain our relationship with our local fire departments. We can't do this by ourselves, and we are well aware of that. The vast majority of our wildfires are caught by our local departments before they ever get to be a big issue before they ever get to be a problem, and we want to express our appreciation to our local fire departments for doing that, and we want to make sure that we continue to maintain that relationship, because that's the only way we can make this work. But what we're asking is for, the state has actually done an assessment of all of the property across the state and looked at fuel types, looked at infrastructure, looked at a variety of different things, and come up with an assessment value for medium and high-risk acres. And what we're asking each community to do is to reinvest the value of those high-risk and medium-risk acres into your own community to reduce risk. We don't want, in the past we used to ask the counties to pay into an insurance fund, and the state would help cost share those fires. We don't want anybody writing a check out to the state anymore. We just want to make sure that each local government is taking on the management of their own risk. And we are asking each community that signs into this cooperative agreement, and this is a voluntary system. This is, you have the opportunity to opt in, you have the opportunity to opt out. But if you opt in, we're asking each community to come up with a community wildfire preparedness plan, which we have a template for, and my staff would be willing to work with the local department and the local community to kind of guide you through that process. But it allows you as a local community to identify where your biggest risks are, to identify the projects that you think would be most beneficial in reducing those catastrophic wildfires. I understand you've been given the cooperative agreement to look at, and the participation commitment sheet as well. Are there any questions about the program or what we're looking to do here?
Questions from council? Looks like you did a great job.
Okay, very good. All right, so yeah, if there are any other questions, feel free to contact me. I know that your fire department has got my phone number in there. They know where to find me. But I appreciate you giving me just a few minutes to talk about this, and look forward to working with you if you choose to opt in. Thank you.
Well, if you want to stick around for a moment, I think you'll see that we approve it tonight.
Very good. I can do that.
We'll move now to communications. City Manager?
Nothing that's not in your budget. Thank you.
City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In keeping with the aggressive nature of our prosecution team, I'm pleased to report that in our 12th trial in the last year, last week at Berkovich, with the assistance of Officer, I'm going to probably make a mistake regarding the pronunciation of these names, but Officer Justice, Officer Delamy, and Officer Turner all testified, and in less than a half a day, there was a jury verdict of guilty for interference with an arrest. So I just want to promote the fact that we're getting the job done over through the police department and through the prosecutor's office. Thank you.
David, would you care to tell us how many prior to a year ago we had actually tried and won?
I'm going with the information that Judge Kuhn shared with me when I started. He said it had been 4 years since there had been a trial in his courtroom. So we've consistently kept him busy on Fridays. There is another one, Thursdays and Fridays, there is another trial tomorrow as well.
Thank you. I just want that on the record. Larry?
Nothing new.
Brian?
Just one item. We're hosting the Mayor's Mile this weekend, Saturday, on the Jordan River Trail, on the Gardner Village Trailhead, 7800 South, 11th West. We're just inviting everyone to bring out their family and kids and race the mayor. It starts at, registration starts at 9 a.m., the race starts at 10 a.m., so hopefully you guys can make it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick?
Thanks, Mayor. Just want to read a news release from the Government Finance Officers Association, and it goes on to read, the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting has been awarded to the City of West Jordan by the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, GFOA, for its comprehensive annual financial report, the CAFR. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by government and its management. An award of financial reporting achievement has been awarded to the individuals or department designated by the government as primarily responsible for preparing the award-winning CAFR. The CAFR has been judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, which includes demonstrating a constructive spirit of full disclosure, to clearly communicate its financial story, and motivate potential users and user groups to read the CAFR. I'd just like to thank those in the finance department, and also our auditors, Kennington and Christian, for their assistance in this recognition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Linda Whitney?
Nothing this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Chief Hackley?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item that on May the 18th at 2:30 in West Valley City at the Cultural Center, we'll be holding a recruit graduation for our 2 newest firefighters. We joined with West Valley City for an 8-week recruit school for them. They'll successfully graduate and we'll get them back to in our department and on the street work. So that's on May 18th at 2:30 if any of you are interested in attending. Thank you.
Chief Diamond?
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to let everyone know, if you did not already know, that this is National Police Memorial Week. There are a lot of national things going on this week back in Washington, D.C. We had our state police memorial that happened on the west side of the Capitol. That was last Thursday. Appreciate all those that attended that. Following up on that, on May 20th, the Copper Hills Cal Ripken Little League will be presenting to the city, and that this was approved a few council meetings ago, a memorial for fallen officers here in West Jordan. That ceremony will actually take place at 11 o'clock, and we invite all of you to attend, and the public as well. We will be having some police demonstrations and some things, a canine demonstration, a motor demonstration, some other things there. That day we'll also be participating with the youth out there that day as well. It is that morning at 8 o'clock they will start their fundraiser, and there will be a lot of activities out there. We really appreciate the Little League putting up this memorial. I just saw pictures of it tonight. It's a great monument, a great memorial with a flagpole there. We will have the families of our two fallen officers, Ron Wood and Tom Reese, there, and we're grateful for them. Rob Durfee will be speaking a little bit during public comment, and he'll talk a little bit more about that, but I want to just announce that and let them know of our thanks from the police department for recognizing Officer, in particular Officer Wood. A lot of kids that go out there right now weren't even born when he was slain, and so it's a good opportunity for them to recognize and understand what that purpose is. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. Number one, I was able to participate last week with the I Love West Jordan event, and my family and I were able to put mulch at Fire Station 53. It was a little windy at first, and it was really cold in the morning, but we survived and made it through. I was able to come back to City Hall and thank Parks and all the volunteers that helped organize that. I also wanted to thank Steve Glane for his efforts on the water rates. I know he's spent a lot of time, and we're still spending time, and that's a good thing. And I was able to meet also with Bill Piper from accounting to go over some budget and dashboard type things. And then I just wanted to also recognize the scouts that are here. I know Councilmember Burton will probably do the same thing, but I'll let him do that. And I want to talk a little bit about May 10th. Many of you know that 148 years ago, the Central Pacific and Union Pacific met in Promontory, Utah, and we have many businesses in West Jordan that are serviced by rail. And I think that's just an amazing thing. I was able to see on the Deseret News today that they have a link to the May 10th, 1869 Deseret News edition where you can have a full page, read the article of what happened that day. And I am a
involved with model trains, so that's of interest to me. And then the last thing, I had a question, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask, I just wanted to see if we had a status of the ad hoc form of government committee. If they've been contacted. I don't know if I can ask Mark that question, Mayor, if that would be appropriate.
Well, we have the thing set up, Councilman Anderson, but we only have one question. If there's going to be a liaison with the city council, and I think it's a legal opinion that probably not, and let have no influence then on that. So it's pretty much ready to go, I think.
Okay, thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank all the volunteers that came out for the I Love West Jordan Day. It's always a great thing to see citizens getting involved and taking an active approach and making our city look just a little better. I just want to thank all of them and again the staff that was involved with that as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Newton.
I don't have anything right now, but I'm sure you'll hear from me in the future.
Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to emphasize I Love West Jordan Day. Thank you, all of those who helped participate in that. In my little group, we had a little over 100 people show up to that. And we also had a Boy Scout service project out there that did some fantastic work. So those that helped at Teton Estates Park and Vista West Park, thank you very much for your help and your contributions. And I welcome the Boy Scouts who are here with us today. And those Scouts who are here with us today, I look forward to seeing you again Saturday, because Saturday is Scoutorama. Now, I know Scoutorama happens at the same time as the Mayor's Run, but since the Mayor is so fast and all the runners are so fast, after the Mayor's Run, we welcome you to run over to the Southtown Expo for Scoutorama, which goes from 9 until 4 p.m. on Saturday. Okay, and then I want to ask the council a question, if I may. We talked about our streetlight funds being on the water bill and how I would like to move that off of the water bill and put that into the general fund. And I would like to present a couple of options for that, maybe revenue neutral or maybe just put the general fund for this year and do it revenue neutral by adjusting the property tax the following year. But those who would be interested on the council and having this put together and a proposal for our next council meeting. Does anyone opposed to me follow up on that and put something together for our next council meeting to move the street lights from the water bill into the general fund? Wonderful. I will put something together and provide us with some options for our next meeting. Also, next Tuesday there will be a town hall meeting here at the community room. And I want to make sure the public's aware of this. Even though this is a town hall meeting I put together, it'll have a citywide application because there's a developer who wants to do a text amendment to make it possible to put car washes in a neighborhood commercial zone. So if you have any feelings one way or the other on that, or just want more information on that, we welcome you to a town hall meeting next Tuesday, 7 p.m., downstairs in the community room. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. A number of items to share with the council, so I'll try and be brief and quick. First of all, as has already been shared, thank you to all who participated with the I Love West Jordan Day, both residents and staff. Very much appreciated. Right after that, I met with folks from the Cultural Arts Society of West Jordan. You'll recall that the Arts Council was working to start an independent nonprofit. That has been completed. They were able to have their first board meeting, and things are running well. They wanted to share their appreciation with the council for the support in getting to this point, and make sure it was very well known that we continue to be working with them. They would be continuing to work with us going forward in this slightly altered capacity, but we think that this change to having them as an independent nonprofit will be beneficial both to them and allowing them additional latitude into the city and finding different various ways that we can support. So they shared their thanks. Along with the arts, our application for the funding for the county grant to help provide for that arts facility has been turned in. There are some additional letters of support that have been provided that will be added. We're able to add those even after the application has been put in. So I want to make you aware that that has gone through. As discussed, we were stating the total project value would not exceed $12 million, even though our internal estimate suggested 8.8 to 9, just based on what we've been seeing in the market with construction costs. We didn't want to find ourselves with a gap and not be able to cover that. So there's a potential for $6 million grant because of the $12 million total project, 50% matching from the county, which is not in. Along with those letters of support from the community, I was able to meet with the school board, or with the Jordan School District board yesterday, and they were unanimous in their support for the project, and they will also be providing a letter that we can submit along with our application to the county. So very much appreciate them and their support. Last of all, as we've had all the construction happening on 70th South with the utility project, there have been some unanticipated issues that have arisen. We had some unexpected water shutoffs that occurred about a week and a half ago, and it was incredibly eye-opening to see how quick the water department responded and were able to take care of those issues as they came up. They were out and about hand delivering the door hangers, and within a matter of minutes, one unanticipated shutoff had been recognized and corrected, and just incredibly responsive staff. I was able to spend the bulk of the following day on a ride along with them, seeing what's being done not just on 70th South, but with a number of other projects. So thank you very much to the Public Works Department for what they do and allowing that insight into what's happening with the water. There's some really, really great folks out there. I'd like to name them by name, but just because of the number of folks that are out there, my praise really can be applied to the whole department. So thank you very much. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We will move to citizens' comments. I have 2 signed up to speak tonight. We'll take them first. Rob Turkey.
Hi, I'm Rob Durfee. I'm with West Jordan, Cal Ripken. As the chief talked about a little bit, we are doing the memorial for the fallen officers out at Ron Wood. We thank you guys for approving that back in March, and since then it's been a lot of work to get it done. We have went out and we have raised the money, all private, through businesses in the city and through local funding, and got this thing to go. It is going to be a neat event. Through this event, we've also had a Boy Scout involved, so it does have an Eagle Scout project in the middle of everything we've done. Out at the ballparks at Ron Woods, we've done a nice flower bed that flowers will be going in this weekend along with mulch. We have a 35-foot flagpole that was just put up there that has been needed for years. I think every baseball park needs a flagpole. And then we just had the memorial delivered yesterday. The memorial, when it's unveiled, is going to be really neat. So we wanted to come before. We wanted to give a special thanks to Brian Clegg and his staff out there at the park. They did the removal of some trees, along with getting some stuff done so that we could get the memorial in place. And then I wanted to give a special thanks to Chief Diamond. I've met with him a few times to get this set up. We are really hoping with this event that it brings light to the kids at our park what it means to play at the park. As it was previously announced, most of the players out there don't quite understand who Ron Woods is, and I'm sure after this event that every player that walks into our park will now know who Ron Wood is, and they'll understand a little bit about it. And in closing, we come to ask that if as many of you guys could attend as possible, we would love to have you guys there. I know the mayor's said to speak up there, but we invite every staff and council member to come out. We're anticipating somewhere between 2,000 people to show up. We have roughly 800 to 900 players that'll be there. We'll have them sit with the families. That we'll have a section out front with the families. If we do get an RSVP from you guys, we will save you guys some seating there also, so for everybody that could come. We'd love to have you out. We're going to have a breakfast before. Come out with your families. And it's just going to be a great event. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Jacob?
I just wanted to double check, Chief Diamond can answer this. What's the date on that unveiling again?
That is the 20th, Saturday the 20th
Of May.
of May.
All right, thank you.
At 11 o'clock is when the actual ceremony starts.
Thank you.
But you're welcome to come and get breakfast before that.
Better believe it.
Alexandra Ephraimov?
I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, may we pause for a moment to reflect upon our common goals before we begin the business of this meeting. We are privileged to gather here together in a system that gives us freedom to participate in our own governance, whether from within or through the strength provided by our personal faiths. We seek wisdom, understanding, fairness, and resolve to the fulfillment of our duties and in the pursuance of our goals. May our differences be respected and our common aspiration of promoting the public good be our guide in carrying out the tasks we're about to undertake. Thank you. I just wanted to say that speaking of the arts, and I only found out about it by accident when I came to City Hall, that the West Jordan Symphony Concert was held last Friday at the Viridian Hall, and they were great. It was free, and they're going to have another concert in October. And I asked him, I said, you can call, the people that were there were family members, and I said, this place should be really packed. And so I suggested getting hold of West Jordan, the West Jordan Journal, to please let them know. But it was really, really great. I really enjoyed it. But and the other thing is, I'm not really sure why we had a little over a month ago. And by the way, welcome to our new council member, David Newton. And but why we had 3 different presentations on aesthetics here in West Jordan. I hope and pray we don't undertake any of the 3 presentations. I don't want to see any trees in the middle of Redwood Road. I don't want to see revamping 9000 South. I understand that 9000 South is going to be widened to about 9 lanes. So why are we spending any money on trees or grass or anything? I'm still a little bit confused why we had the 3 different, and also one of the presenters said widening sidewalks. I've never seen anybody have difficulty that we currently have, but anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' comments? Now would be the opportunity. Please state your name and address for the record.
All right, my name is Eric Browning. I live at 6945 Foxflower Court up in the Ochre Shadows area. A little bit of thanks first. I'd like to thank Public Works for improving the snowplow during the winter. It's been really bad the couple of winters before, but the last 2 have actually been very good. For those of us without trucks, snow-packed roads are hard. So they've done a really good job plowing. So I want to thank you for increasing the plows. Nobody likes orange barrel season. Nobody likes to see even more of this happen, but we have a problem on 4800 West between 70th South and New Bingham Highway. That road is a mess. Okay, that road is, it's rutty. It's got cuts across it. It's got trenches down the parallel with the road in the middle of the lanes. All the other roads around it, including even my subdivision, have been redone with either an overlay or something else. And it seems those roads weren't that bad. 4800 West has been neglected for several years. And I had a good exchange with Tim Peters in Public Works. He's a really nice guy. We talked about different strategies to overcome this road problem. He said they had contemplated an overlay. Well, I mean, if you look at 90th South, that overlay is chipping off. I mean, all along the shoulders. It looks like someone took a putty knife and whoosh, there goes an inch of pavement. So I'm urging you guys to find the funds to not do an overlay, to rip up that road, fix the underlying ground problems that are causing all of these sinkholes. I mean, they had to do a big patch about a year or two ago. And so I'd just like to ensure that you guys properly address this road. You know, all right? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Chad Lamb, 1434 West Highland Hollow Drive. First of all, I wanted to thank the mayor and the council for the opportunity last week for those of us that applied for the open position for the council. It was I don't know if I can speak for the others that applied, but for me, I thought it was a fair process, and it was probably not fair for those of you that are on the council. I had to make that decision. But I do want to congratulate Dave Newton, and I look forward to him serving during this time. The second thing I wanted to bring up was, Alan, you asked about the ad hoc committee for the form of government. Those of us that have been applied for that have received an email from the mayor and from the city, and that is going to go on hopefully in the next week or so. We're still looking for a time, so that committee is starting, and we're those of us that are on the committee are excited to be on that committee and talk about our form of government and West Jordan City as well. The third and final thing I want to talk about was our parks budget. A few years ago, I don't know if it was 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, there was an opportunity to put some more fees on our water and utility bill to help out the parks. I, as a citizen, was against this, and many were, because we feel that we don't need more fees on our water bill as it is already. As a member of the Parks Committee, I had been working with Brian Clegg, Dave Naylor, and working with them to try and find some solutions and try and find some ways that we can get more money for the parks in this coming year and for years to come. We love our parks. We want to see the parks continue to flourish and have that opportunity for our children and our friends to be able to attend those parks. But I do see, being on the Parks Committee and working with the Parks Director, that we do need more money. And as I saw the budget for this upcoming year, obviously as a citizen I have no control over the budget, but I can speak my mind and say that we still need more money for the parks. So if there's any way to use the council, it can work with the city manager and work with the budget and work with Brian as well to see if there's an opportunity this year to raise that budget and get the funds that they need to do those things that will help our parks look better and be great for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I will close the citizens' comment portion of the agenda, and we will move to the consent items. No one has asked myself to pull any.
May I please pull F and G for just a couple of quick questions?
F and G, anyone else? Councilmember McConaughey.
Move to approve all consent items with the exception of F and G.
Councilmember Burton.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey, a second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Newton.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes.
Mayor Rawl.
Yes.
Councilmember Burton.
Yes.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
Item 7A, public hearing item. Receive public input and consider for approval the fiscal year 2017-2018 Community Development Block Grant Home and Programs and Funds. David.
Yes, each year, Mayor and Council, we get an allocation of HUD money under the Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG, big into acronyms. And we're in the throes of allocating the funding. So with that, I'll have Chuck Tarver do a very brief presentation to let you know how this is all playing out. Mr. Tarver.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. If I can, just real quick before I get started, I called Debbie Mountaineer before she left with Rocky Mountain Power. Many of you people received emails this week about her leaving Rocky Mountain Power, and I just wanted to express as Habitat staff person on the Habitat Committee my appreciation and the committee's appreciation on all the work and hours that she has put in. She's opened many doors on the Habitat project with the location that we have with the major substation down there. And I just wanted the council to know that she has dedicated a lot of hours to this project and made a lot of activities possible. Her replacement, Michael, will definitely have some tough shoes to fill, but he's very capable of filling that position and all. So from my side, Debbie.
Would you ever stand up so all the citizens can recognize the hard work that she put into our community?
All right. Thanks, Mayor. I didn't want her to have to listen to my presentation here so she could slip out earlier. Larry, you got the PowerPoint if you don't mind. You know, as Dave said, each year we get an allocation of funds from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Each year we usually have a final allocation number at this point in time. However, with the current administration and the recent passage of the continuing resolution last Friday, it looks like we'll be getting the allocation roughly of what we got last year. So last year we received $555,341, and that's what HUD provided us with to go forward with our public participation process. We will not probably get our final allocation numbers till the end of June this year, but we're pretty sure they won't vary much within these amounts here. If they vary within excess of 10%, we will bring the recommendations back to City Council for adjustment at that time. But I don't see it changing over maybe 1 or 2%. As I said, the allocation this year is the same as last year. We've had 3 meetings, which Councilmember Burton participated in this year with us. And I believe 4 or 5 of the council members have sit on the committee in the past. We wrapped up our work within 3 meetings this year, roughly 2 hours each, and had each of the agencies come in and present 10 to 15 minutes each one in a relaxed atmosphere where we could talk to them one-on-one and get questions answered and get in detail about the programs that they operate and provide to the city. This year's allocations, we have the annual allocation of $555,000 roughly. Then we have a housing revolving loan that will be taking $40,000 out of, and then we'll carry over $50,000 from the down payment assistance program this year into next year that we will not be using this year. So we have a total of $645,341 to allocate this year. The requests that we got in this year total a little bit over. We're allowed to put 15% into public service requests, roughly $81,000. And this year we received right at $90,000, so we only had to cut roughly around $93,000 from the requests that we received. So no one really got affected too badly in their requests this year, no major reductions and no rejections of any proposals in the public service category. Now, this year the South Valley Sanctuary applied once again for their $15,000 for their case managers at the Resource Center, and also here at City Hall as well as at the shelter. Legal Aid Society applied for the $12,000, which we recommended, funding for the legal assistance program. Family Support operates the Crisis Nursery in Midvale and requested $10,000, and the committee recommended that funding. The Road Home Homeless Operation Shelter requested $12,000, They would love 12 million, I'm sure. But, you know, the committee allocated 8,000 for funding for them. The Community Action Program with the Emergency Food Pantry usually asks for $6,000 every year, so the committee funded that. The committee has a very important factor placed on providing food. Food and shelters is really the two major important factors to the committee in the past couple of years. The community health centers got funded this year for $7,500. Yeah, for the dental program. The Community Action Program also got funded for $9,300 for the rent assistance program. This program is tied into the Jordan School District, where when someone is getting foreclosed or removed from their home, this will come in and step in and keep that family into the unit for a temporary time until they get established. The YWCA asked for their normal allocation of $7,500. Big Brothers Big Sisters requested 10, and the committee funded them at 8,000. So that gives us total 83,300. Well, actually 300 is what we have allocated, which is our 15% for public services. Under the program administration, we're capped at 20%, and this year we took roughly about 19% of 104 over the maximum amount that we could there. The Section 108 loan, which is a section of the West Jordan Senior Center, 20-year loan. The payment this year of debt service is $170,000, and this is the third year from the end. So we have 2 more years of payments on the senior center, and it'd be free and clear to the city at that point in time. So that'll free up roughly $190,000 into the CDBG program to allocate elsewhere in the future. Next page, Larry. Thanks. The housing rehab program, we continue taking $40,000, making it available out of the revolving loan account. It doesn't come out of our annual allocation. This comes from repayment of past housing rehab loans, and we make that available to the residents here in the city. As I mentioned before, we requested $100,000 for down payment assistance, 50 coming out of this year's allocation and 50 coming from last year's allocation that we didn't use. Hard cost projects that we have this year, the ASSIST program requested $100,000, and they do emergency home repairs and access improvements, and the committee recommended the $100,000 for them. They will spend out their money within probably 10 to 11 months on the demand that they're receiving from West Jordan residents. The Family Support Center in Midvale asked for hard cost money at $3,300 for a window replacement. And the Odyssey House asked for heating and air conditioning upgrades of $6,500. And the only project that we received a request from was Project Reality for our building construction, which is an excellent project. But they had requested $1.1 million from Salt Lake County under their CDBG program, which they didn't fund the project, which left them kind of upside down as to what to do at this point in time. And speaking to the executive director of the Project Reality, they're in the process of trying to figure out if they're going to move forward with a new building or renovate one of their existing buildings. And they'll be coming back to us and working with us next year to submit a new application for CDBG funds when they're a little bit better prepared at that time. That's basically the funding request that we had from the agencies. Like I said, this is a fair kind of process where it's easy for the agencies to come in and answer questions from the committee and all. I don't know if Councilmember Burton has any comments on the process, but that's basically what we had. And then we have a couple agencies here which will get them to come up, introduce themselves, and then if you have questions for them specifically, I'll address those. Thank you.
Councilman Burton, do you have anything to add?
I would. It was a pleasure being on this committee. It was a good eye-opener for me to see the fantastic things that these nonprofits are doing for residents in West Jordan. The sad part is we don't have enough funds to cover all of them. It was difficult to choose who wasn't going to get it because they were all valuable needs. However, I'm impressed with some of the things that are here and some of the great things that are happening in West Jordan, and the people who run these programs and take care of the needs of West Jordan. So this is a very good program, and I'm pleased to work with Chuck and the information he can provide for us, and I'd be happy to serve on this committee again.
Thank you.
Chuck, the home buyer assistance program, is that being used?
You know, this year, in the past year, we had a maximum purchase price of $198,500, which has gotten out of proportion this year. So under the new program, well, the answer is no. About 50,000 of it has this year. That's why we're carrying over the other 50 into next year. We'll be coming back to council probably next month with revisions in our down payment guidelines, where we have our higher home purchase price to be more in line with the values of homes right now. I mean, it's tough, and most of the down payment with the 35, 45 total debt limits and housing debt limits that the lenders put on will keep the people in a range that meets the income requirements of the program.
So how many people would we conceivably help?
You know, out of the 100,000, it's 20 homes. It's roughly, maybe 21, it's roughly around $4,400 per house. Some of them max out around the 5,000, but there's always a couple that's a little bit lower and everything. Great.
Chuck, did you want to have those individuals that wanted to come up and speak do that now?
Absolutely, if they can.
That'd be great. Do we have the lights on?
Hello, my name is Jean Marie Neese with The Road Home. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the mayor's staff, the council, and the volunteers for their recommendation. Please know how grateful we are for your recommendation, and we continue to provide our services tonight, tomorrow, and into the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to Chuck and his team and to Councilman Burton. And we love West Jordan. We're grateful to be a partner. We appreciate the recommendations. All of the agencies on there, we partner and know that they bring services here to the community. We appreciate this consideration, and also, if I can, the partnership that we have with the city. I was looking around and I think how grateful we are of our partnership with your law enforcement, who not only serves and protects, but comes to our shelter and reads with our children, to your fire chief and his team that also is there for us, and then comes and allows us to have tours on their equipment. Your amazing attorney's office for the work that's happening here to protect your citizens, and really all of you on the city council. We appreciate our partnership here. Your staff is amazing to work with our team here, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jason Wheeler with Assist, and it's our privilege really to do work all throughout the Salt Lake Valley. And in West Jordan, we perform about 50 to 60 emergency home repairs or accessibility retrofits every year. And it's pretty special to go into the homes of some of the lower income residents in your community and just provide them with really small repairs that allow them to stay in their homes and continue to be residents in this fine city. And it's a privilege working here, and we appreciate the opportunity to continue to do so in this coming year. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm with Legal Aid Society of Salt Lake, and we appreciate West Jordan's continued support of our domestic violence program, helping victims of domestic violence get protective orders and other services to help them in their time of crisis. So we appreciate the council and the committee's recommendation and look forward to continuing our partnership with West Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that everyone, Chuck, that's here tonight?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Any questions from council before we open the public hearing? I'll now open the public hearing for item 7A. Anyone in the public wishing to speak on this item, now would be the opportunity. Please. Still need to state your name.
Alexandra Ephraimo, 3735 Judd Circle. I just want to really compliment West Jordan and the City Council for reaching out for many, many areas of people that are so much less fortunate than we are, and to recognize that and to verbally let the city know what we're doing. I just think it's really awesome. I just wish we had a couple million to go ahead and spread it out, but that's not really possible. But what we have, I really want to say congratulations and thank you very much.
Anyone else? I will close the public hearing of item 7A and return to the council. I have one question, Chuck, if I
Yes.
could. Would you mind describing Project Reality to the council and the members of the audience?
Yeah, Project Reality is treatment of opiates and severe outbreak and addiction to the drug. And even though it's a basic prescription type drug, it's become a huge issue. And I think they compare it a lot to addiction to cocaine and heroin. And it's just a situation that has outgrown the existing facility here, that they can't keep pace with the treatment and everything. And it seems to be the #1 growing drug abuse out there at this current time. It's pretty well makes most of the people pretty well debilitated where they can't function or perform any activity. And we look forward to working with them over this year to hopefully bring in a good proposal next year when they're ready to do the remodeling or the new construction. And I'm far from an expert compared to Linda when she came in.
It's a new thing, but I was kind of sad that they didn't have their act kind of together so that we could participate at some level. It seems to be a major epidemic systemically through the entire Wasatch Front. So.
And it is, but I think the little delay will actually allow them to produce a better product in the long run. It may be a few months longer, but I think we'll end up with a good result than rushing it through. And so, for Linda Moore, the director, I appreciate her realizing that and working with us on it.
Thank you for that explanation.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
Other questions from council? A motion would be in order then. Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the proposed funding recommendations of the West Jordan CDBG Home Committee for fiscal year 2017-18 as part of the fiscal year 2017-18 annual action plan.
Councilmember Anderson.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Burton, a second by Councilmember Anderson. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give my thanks to those that participated on the committee, staff and council members, planning commission, and residents who were involved with that, and all those that came and applied for the funding. Having all this money from the HUD program and nowhere to spend it, or if there was needs out there that nobody asked for, would put us in an awkward situation. So I'm grateful that we have
Councilmember McConaughey. Councilmember Burton.
Yes.
Councilmember Nugent.
Aye.
Mayor Robb.
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
The vote passes 6 in favor.
Business item 8A, discussion and possible action regarding Resolution 17-82, adopting the tentative budgets for general fund, special revenue funds, capital projects funds, enterprise funds, and internal service funds for the fiscal year 2017-2018, and setting June 14, 2014 as the budget public hearing. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. 2 weeks ago, my office and staff presented you with the 2018 fiscal year budget. The budget was balanced. What that means is that we spend within our means. Any ongoing expenses or services that we provide as a city are covered by the revenues, taxes, and fees that we bring in. You'll note that any extras, we call them the green sheets, that we would like to have are not necessary to balance the budget, come out of our reserve fund. And this year we're taking about $1.7 million out of our reserve fund, still leaving us with about $8 million in there. In the last couple of weeks, I'm going to come forward with some questions and spend some time with you. Right now, when you pass this resolution, it becomes your budget. It's no longer the city manager's budget, it's your working document. If you passed it, it would work. If you'd like to make changes, the only request is if you add to the budget, then we need to either find another revenue source or a corresponding expenditure decrease. And I think you all know that. So we have about a month and a half to make changes through a workshop session or more to do that. But every fund is balanced, and I think it's in a format that is easier to read this year than it ever has been before. So, thank you.
Thank you. Council? Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. I thought I went slow enough to let others go first. Wow, mine are just stacked up there. So I have a couple of questions on this. My questions to start with are more about the current year's budget and projected realities, and then how that plays forward into the next year. And that is on revenues. We have an adjusted budget for revenues of $64 million on the general fund. I'm just talking general fund for right now. And a year-end estimate of $54,770,000. As I recall our budget discussions last year, we didn't want any of the sale of real property to be included in revenues. We wanted that to be extra if it happened and when it happened. Obviously, it hasn't happened, so it's probably a good thing that we did that. I would just like to know what's the possible reasons for the $10 million miscalculation on what we thought we were going to get this year. And yeah, we'll start with that and go forward from there. So it looks like our revenue is $10 million short, and our expenditures are only $5 million short, so we are in the red by $5 million in the current year projected. Am I reading this right, or feel free to correct me?
Well, yes and no. If you look in the adjusted budget column, down towards the very bottom, we have the contributions from fund balance. So of that $64 million that we were showing as revenues, $7.3 million of that was from reserves, which, yeah, everyone has a different way to look at it. I look at it as we have real revenues, which is money, taxes, fees coming in from the city, and then we have kind of quasi-revenues, which are these using our reserves. So we essentially, and you'll notice there's zero in the actuals. So 7 million of the 10 million was planned. The remainder would be, a shortfall of actual revenues or projected revenues over what was budgeted.
Okay, thank you for that. Why is it listed as zero under the year-end estimate if we do
show those fund balances in there is it's a balancing mechanism. You know, we have a balanced budget, and frequently to make our budget so that it is balanced, we have to use reserves. You know, just as the manager just mentioned, we're planning this next year to use about 1.7 million in reserves. Part of the reason that contribution from fund balance was $6,593,000 was at the time that we adopted the budget last year. We were planning to pay cash. Well, I mean, we were for the Public Works building, we were going to contribute $7.5 million from the various funds that would be using that building, and then bonding for the rest. And the plan changed after the adoption of the budget. So about $4.5 million was scheduled to be transferred out from the general fund using fund balance, and that did not occur. You know, which shows up on the expenditure side, the transfers out. So in the actual world, which the year-end estimate, we really pay no heed to those balancing revenues where we use, you know, we're just strictly tracking actual revenues and actual expenses when we show them in the comprehensive annual financial report. And so we keep that track in this actual column, the very middle of the year-end estimate. We never show anything other than zero in those slots.
Okay, so what is our projected then year-end revenue, all in on the general fund? Is it closer to 61 million then, with that $7 million?
Well, no, the actual revenues is closer to the 54.7 million, which will then compare with our projected expenditures to find out the net impact on fund balance at the end of the year.
Okay.
So if we take from the fund summary, which I believe is on page 6 of the document, we can show that the projected expenditures are a little over $59 million, so that would be saying we're going to use about $4.5 million of the fund balance, where on this revenue sheet we said we were going to use 7.3. So we're using less fund balance than we said, yet less reserves than we planned on in the initial initial budget.
Right. Thank you very much for that explanation. As that plays forward into the 17-18 budget, then the current proposed budget, we have total revenues and other sources almost $62 million. How much, other than the 1.7-ish million for the green sheet items, is any of that projected to come from fund balance?
No.
Okay, so we are expecting to bring in, other than 1.3 million, or 1.7 million, so approximately $60 million of new revenues for the...
Well, no, $60 million of revenue.
Right.
Period.
Of revenue period, which will be a good 10% higher than the current year, based on projections.
Let me explain a little bit. If you can go through that, we probably should have a line showing all the revenues projected, and that'll be around 58 million dollars. That's the revenue, and then we're projecting to spend that exact same amount. The other three lines, you see that the 1.227, that's how much work we spend from the reserve fund for capital type items. The second line is the 449. We are taking from the fleet fund almost $500,000 to pay cash for new vehicles. That again is not a new revenue that's coming from another revenue source. And then the last one is the one we have every year is how much we spend in the general fund from classic
about 2 million more, right? Those three items add up to a little over 2 million.
Yeah.
You just mentioned, so instead of 61.9, like at 59.9, roughly.
Yes.
I'm not using the calculator, but I just wondered why we're looking at, again, that's still almost a 10% increase over the current year's revenues. Are we really projecting to bring in, is the economy growing at 10%, where are we getting 10% more money? And this is just the general fund, this is utility fees or anything else. I'm just wondering, I see it in the detail on the revenue pages, that follow pages 8 to 9, 7, 8, and 9. But overall, I'm just wondering the philosophy behind projecting a 10% increase in.
It's not 10%, is it? We're talking about less than
54 to 59. That's a $5 million difference.
$4 million, a couple of those things.
Yeah, I still try to feel that one.
Well, I just follow the math. You know, if we add the numbers up, you know, we have some significant increases. You know, we have some significant increases in ambulance fees. Part of it, which is associated with the implementation of the interfacility transports. We have our regular sales tax increases, which, you know, certainly aren't 10% of an increase, but you know, we'd have to go do the calculation. They may be on the realm of 5% or so, which is you know, relatively assertive. I'm trying to think of any other specific.
What about property tax, the growth?
Well, we will have some property tax growth. We're showing about $500,000 additional in property tax. And now one thing to point out here is ultimately there's $12,317,000 showing right there in property tax. The number that will ultimately be there when we adopt our budget will be what the county tells us it will be. Right. And so usually we make a slight adjustment up or down from that, but that's our projection at this point. And that comes in only as from the new growth that has come on prior to last January.
Okay, just one more, just along the same lines, just so we're still, and then I'll click off on some other shall return here. Just looking at the detail on page 7, the property taxes, like you mentioned, 500,000 higher than this year projected. Sales tax, $1.2 million higher this year. Looks like some of our cash cows are going to be the utility franchise tax. It's going to go up $800,000 or $600,000, excuse me. This year or this coming year over the current year. We have $200,000 or $150,000 out of motor vehicle taxes, $100,000 out of or telecommunications tax and motor vehicle taxes. The transit room tax is one I can get all on board with. We had 2 hotels, so that was great. The other ones, I'm just wondering what we're basing the projecting. On property tax, I get it, it's the growth, it's the county, I get that one. But, you know, 1.1 million in new sales taxes.
Okay, and its sales tax traditionally over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years has, you know, without looking at the specific numbers, I'd say about $1 million a year increases as, you know, we continue coming out of the recession. And then, of course, you know, some of that money has ended up being funneled off to debt support for some of the sales tax bonds that were issued. You'll notice the actuals from 15-16 at $16.2 million to the current year's estimate of $17.1. And you know, we have that's an more than an $800,000 increase. And then, you know, essentially the economists, and so to speak, I know Dave Zobel looks at the statewide economy, the national economy, and any kind of local economy things as come from some of the major banks, and goes with their estimates, as well as looking at our current economic development situation and maybe what kinds of retail businesses might be coming in to boost that.
Thank you. I appreciate you bearing with me on my questions. I'm sure we'll have more, but I'll bring it up and somebody else have a turn for a minute.
One more comment on the sales tax. Because this city's in a growth mode, we'll probably be growing for the next several decades. There are other cities, as Mayor calls them, the rust cities, that are all growthed out. They're not going to get anything more. They're trying to hold on to what they can. But they'll see a loss as more and more people buy online. And we've been told by a lot of experts, plan it's going to happen. Ours has been recovered because we're growing. But there'll come a time in a couple of decades when we'll be the same situation. We're going to have to really husband how we allocate our sales tax. We'll see a decrease.
Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. First, a comment, and there's 5 pages that I just want to ask a question on a line item based on our strategic plan. I do like the new budget format. I'm up to page 146, but I'm in the middle of doing my own $6 million budget at my employer, so I'm kind of lots of numbers. The comment I wanted to make is we have a lot of residents that are here, and they just see our city council meeting slide. I don't know if there is a way to put the PDF up on a monitor so people can follow along with what we're doing. Might be, if we can't do it today, it might be something that's beneficial going forward, just so that
As of 2 weeks ago, it is on. Yep. As of 2 weeks ago, it is online. The entire budget, so they can look at that and certainly call and ask questions.
Okay. So let me start with page 7. And again, these are very specific line items that just kind of raised the red flag. I didn't read every single line item, but the ones that were important to me. So licenses and permits, about a third of the way down. Business licenses, our audited actual for 15-16 is $305,000. Our adjusted budget for 16-17 is $284,000, which is a decrease. And the city manager recommended budget for 17-18 is $270,000, which is even a further decrease on business licensing. So that concerns me a little bit. I hope we're not losing business in our growth mode.
Let me explain that. The legislature changed the home-based businesses. They're not required to
Get a license?
buy a license.
Okay.
Any fee, yeah, any fee.
Okay. All right, so that, thank you for that clarification. Is that
Along with that,
Oh, there we go.
thank you. When the departments made their suggestion, it was 209. That's when the bill was kind of being discussed. It looked like we'd lose that amount. In looking at the bill, it's hard to interpret. And so our instructions, and a lot of other managers giving the same, let's assume that we're going to, the business licenses that we did last year until we get clarification. So we came up with a number that's more of a composite. We really don't know how it's going to affect us yet.
Okay, was that in effect on 15-16 to 16-17 when we got a decrease of about $20,000?
No.
So that decrease is just a decrease in people paying their business license for that they left the city or they closed down
Or not paying their business.
or not paying their business license. Okay. All right, so that was the first one. Thank you for that. The second one is page 12. All right, and this is City Council, and about halfway down is operating expenses on memberships, code 421500. And I just want to make sure that this membership is including the Utah League of Cities and Towns membership. And have we decided what we're doing with EDC Utah?
It includes the league. It doesn't include EDCU.
Okay. Thank you. How much is EDCU?
$48,000.
Okay. And then that strategic plan in January, page 38. That's our public information. We had discussed at our strategic plan that there would be someone to help Kim in public information, but I'm not seeing, unless it's coded somewhere else, I'm not seeing a salaries. I'm not seeing an increase there.
When we go through the green sheet, we're not sure if the council is going to approve it yet, so we don't put them in all the line items. The full budget that Kim came up with is in here, but it's not in this location.
It's in a green sheet?
So if we move to page 27, which is the Administrative Services Department summary, so to speak, down towards the very bottom, we have two items listed there. We have supplemental requests, which are the green sheets, and a total of $285,739. That's where that's located at this point. Once we adopt the final budget and we know what's in for sure, those will be split out to the appropriate line items in the appropriate divisions and loaded into our overall software, financial management software.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it's not lost from what we're talking
yes,
about.
Yes, it is in there.
Again, into the same one on page 146, which is the last page. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Oh, so there's two. I don't have the other page. 146 was we had talked about possibly adding a PIO type position to the police department. Is that also going to be on a green sheet of administrative services?
Yes.
Okay. And then the last one, I didn't know exactly where.
I think that's where it's at, yes.
Is on this page down at the bottom is that what you're saying? It's on this page with it's in the back of the budget.
Okay. You're page 146?
Yeah.
And any police department green sheets would be shown in the aggregate on page 145 on their department summary. The total on there is a little over $529,000.
Okay, see, this is working very well for me. I mean, see it on the screen, everybody can see what we're talking about, one-page numbers, that's wonderful. The last one, I didn't know exactly what page it would be on. It's in IT services, and just where we would put website money to invest in a website that we can maybe streamline some of our services. We can do more online, more integration with the State Department of Commerce. Does that be under software and database or IT?
We have a general just amount for odds and ends that happen, retirement equipment and things like that. We didn't have a specific breakdown on redoing the web page. We did do a partial change this year. Well, actually, it was a pretty substantial change. It's not perfect. It's probably everyone the same as a major change since last time. We did not put any additional money in there, but we probably could find an amount depending on what it is.
Okay. I just want to see, I do like the change in the website. I do think it's good, but it would be really good to be able to do one-stop shopping, specifically as it pertains to economic development and attracting businesses to come to our city. To be able to go to the state's website and you register, get your tax number, get your name registered, takes you right to the city, you can get your business license just at your computer at one place. So those are my comments thus far, and I'll start on page 147 shortly. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, staff.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. My comments will be very, very quick tonight. I have not yet had time to go through the entire budget, and I want to still finish that up. I do have a number of questions, so I'll be setting up some time with staff to go through those questions and some of the assumptions that I'm not sure I'm on board with. So at this time, I'm not going to be ready to support what's on the agenda adopting this as a tentative budget. Same reason as last year why I was opposed to adopting the tentative budget. If we don't come to a consensus, that becomes the official budget. And if I'm not on board with that, I don't want it lined up to become the official budget quite yet. So since I'm not ready to approve it, I'm not ready to support what's on the agenda tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Newton.
Yeah, what you just said, Councilman McConaughey. So you're saying that if we don't, if we approve this and then can't come to an agreement, that it automatically becomes the final budget. So if that's the case, when do you plan on approving a tentative budget?
Personally, I'm hoping next council meeting. There's still, like I said, it's just 2 weeks and $140+ million. It just wasn't enough time for me to go through. So I'm hoping next week to be able to come and say, here's my proposal, or yes, I'm on board with what's been prepared.
Okay, thank you. And I agree with you. There's some things that I have concerns about too. And would like to maybe address, and for just a second I want to jump back to what Councilmember Jacobs says. We are talking about a 9% increase in revenues, and Mark, is that realistic? Is that 9% realistic?
I'm sorry, I was in
That's okay, yeah. It works out, it is a 9% increase in revenues. Is that realistic? That's my question.
Well, it is a guess. One of the things that we
we know it's all that's a guess.
Well, one of the things we look at is how many homes are we going to do that affects all the fees, which could be quite substantial. There was a time when we were doing almost 750 homes, and that went right into the basement. And I think 4 years ago, it's like only 100, 125. This next year, the current budget looks like we'll do about 360, and we've kind of projected it'll be 400 this time. I didn't want to get too, excited and give a number that would be realistic, but we think we're in the growth mode, and we're doing about 50 extra per year.
So your answer is yes, you think it's realistic. Okay, that's all I need. Thank you. You mentioned that the reserve fund is right now about $8 million. Did I just hear that a minute ago?
It's about 12. Now, the state requires us to have 5% in there. We've been lucky enough to have between 20 and 25, almost going over the 25 max limit. At that point, the state can say, well, then you need to return it. Well, that would be a horrific challenge to do that. And so what usually happens is we spend something to make sure we're down below that. I think this year we carried close to 20%. And
that's exactly what I was going to say. That's the 12 million is 20%.
So, and this year I think we're projecting to be around 12, 13%, something like that.
What you're projecting to pull out? The big use of unrestricted reserve. Well, you don't have anything there, unless we're depending on the green sheet items and the equipment. When it comes to green sheet items, would be the only thing to reduce that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's all I have for tonight, Mayor. I spent quite a bit of time with the city manager. Thank you very much for your time today, Mark. And I've got some further questions as we move forward. Thank you.
Getting back to Councilman McConaughey's, there's a state requirement that we adopt a tentative budget by the first meeting in May, and that's where we're at.
That's today.
Yeah, and which is why I was asking that question, because that was my understanding that under state code we have to adopt a tentative budget, whether we like it or not. Is that we need to discuss that further.
We went through this last year, the same kind of comment, and I alluded to it when I first started. This is still my budget until you take it. So right now, I'm the one who can make any changes to it. You can ask me to do it, I can say no. But once you have it, whatever changes you want, as long as it ends up in balance, it's in your court. That becomes the spending document of the city, and that's why we do it that way.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to let everybody have a chance before I went to my second round. Just kidding. But I do have a couple of questions expenditures, and I get why, considering we have some pending discussions on water rates that are actually pending tonight still. So I get kind of why there's that thought, but there's a whole lot of department recommendations that are zeroed out here, including administration and maintenance and construction, water quality, blue stake, SCADA systems. Yeah, there's a lot of zeros here that I just wonder if are those permanently tabled for this year, or is that something that we're going to change? And under administration, does that include salaries for our water department? Because they should do it.
We went through a total analysis of water, sewer, and what was the other department this year, and we eliminated some of the different sub-funds. And so things are moving around, so you can't equate exactly on each one of these last year's to this year's. And we changed job descriptions so people could move between funds with a different job, with the same job description. So there was a lot that affected the budget.
Okay, that's one thing that I was curious about. Under administration, that makes sense to me. I get where that's coming from. What about the other things like water quality, maintenance, and construction? I mean, the department was proposing $919,000, and we're recommending zero as far as this again.
I think the biggest impact on this is essentially a consolidation of divisions within these enterprise funds, water fund, sewer fund, and storm drain fund, where we've had multiple divisions, for instance, water quality and blue stake, and we've merged them all into an operations division. Hence, you'll see almost $4.9 million in budget versus 3.6 or almost 3.7 million in the previous year. It's a consolidation.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I figured there was an explanation like that. I just was having a hard time finding it on my own, so I appreciate it. Thanks.
I will be supporting the motion when it's available to approve the manager's tentative budget. There'll be a lot of things I won't support when we actually start making our budget. So, and I'm certainly happy that we're not deficit spending $7 million like last year. I'm hoping we can get to a budget that for 3 solid budgets, I have not voted in favor of them. I'm hoping this year that this council can get a budget that I will support and vote for. Anyone with a motion? Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. Before a motion, I just have one item for discussion amongst ourselves. That is on the green sheet items. For example, the position in the communications department. It's listed as a one-time item on the summary sheet, and the fund, as were mentioned, is coming out of the fund balance. I have a hard time with something that's going to be an ongoing expense, and correct me if I'm wrong, an ongoing expense coming out of a one-time fund balance. If I'm reading that wrong, that's the way I heard you explain it a second ago.
The total budget included one time and also ongoing. Obviously, the extra person is ongoing. So even though it's listed as a green sheet, the portion of the green sheet that is one time only came from the reserve fund. The rest is balanced with the rest of the budget.
Okay, but that salary is not in
Yes,
the line item.
salaries.
But it's not in a line item in the budget, is what I'm saying. It's still listed on your green sheet. It's under the
Right,
line.
and then we'll move that portion. But we know what it is, and it's covered with the anticipated revenues.
fiscal year 2017, 2018, and set June 14th, 2017 as the budget public hearing.
Councilmember Anderson?
I'll second that motion.
A motion by Councilmember Newton and a second by Councilmember Anderson. Discussion of the motion. Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll reluctantly be supportive of the motion, primarily because apparently we have to. I will, however, voice my frustration that, well, two things. Number one, what happened last year. I wasn't happy with what was in the tentative budget. It got passed, and we had some difficulty coming to consensus on the final budget. I didn't like the final budget, but I felt it wasn't as flawed as the tentative. So I didn't like being in that position where I had to pick between two that I didn't like. I really don't like being in that position. Number two, having the budget presented to us at the prior council meeting wasn't available online. We couldn't see anything before the meeting, so we couldn't come prepared with any questions. We've had just short of 2 weeks when we've also been working with rates and so many other things to try and go through everything in a short period of time and then have our hand forced. I really, really do not like that. I wish this had been presented to us with more time to review, preferably first meeting in April. That said, since we really don't have a choice, I will, as I mentioned, be reluctantly supportive of the motion. Thank you.
Let's vote.
Mayor Rolfe,
Yes.
Councilmember Newton,
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Burton,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
No.
Vote passes 5-1.
Point of personal privilege, I'd like to take a 5-minute break before we go to the rest of the business items.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5 minutes only, please. We've got a long day.
Because we're the only two in here. That's why it's good. Well, as far as the time budget goes, like, even if you guys voted against it, it's not going to change the time budget. What did you guys get it? That's not on one. And that's in all of these. That's not, no, it's not anything to there.
I'm great. Good to see you. I'm going to stay for the rest of this meeting. This is actually my last council meeting. Yep, moving on. Yeah. It's been fun working with all of you. Thanks so much for giving me all the quotes and stuff. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You getting ready to submit your name on June 1st? Oh, yeah. I'll probably be there as well. Hey, Dirk. Surviving? I feel a lot better right now. I said this weekend. Good motion. One of the things I think is talking about, you know, the time
speak up, I want to say hi to you for the. Yeah, no problem.
If you get notes from Steve,
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. Given that items A, B, C, and D are all relatively closely related to each other, I would move that we take item E, as business item E, as the next item on the agenda.
Any opposition to moving item E to the next item?
I have no opposition, but I'm wondering, does it make any difference? Does it change our time frame at the end?
There are participants here for item E.
In that case, I concur.
Okay, we will move to item E, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 17-84, authorizing the sale of real property, the airport. That doesn't mean the airport property. It's been referred to as the airport property in the past. Since we don't have the own airport, we couldn't do that. To the highest responsible bidder.
Mayor and Council, in reviewing the state statutes, there is some concern I have regarding whether or not West Jordan has the appropriate ordinances in place to confirm this sale today. There is, under Utah Code 10, Section 8-2, a requirement that the city have in place ordinances that show that the best means and practices have been followed to sell this parcel. There has been a citizen representative of the community, I suppose, come forward and say, I doubt that's happened. I want to verify that before we start down a path that I have to backpedal and explain. So it would require perhaps a tabling of this matter until the 24th, and I can have verification of that to you prior to that date.
Councilmember Fine.
Thank you, Mayor. Given the comments from Mr. Bricky, I would move that we table item resolution 17-84 until May 24th.
Second. I have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey and a second by Councilmember Jacob. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember,
Can you explain that a little further? What we would need to do to put that in place?
One of the questions that has been asked repeatedly is what is the legislative requirements that municipalities have when it comes to dispensing and selling land. They've left it to the discretion of every city. Now we have a process downstairs through the finance department. I'm wondering if I can't make a good faith argument that our rules have been followed for so many years that they in effect have the effect of an ordinance.
Okay.
I'd like to verify that there's not case law that some judge in Utah has said rules in your finance department are not the same as ordinances. I acknowledge that. Rules are not the same as codified ordinances. But if there is a judge that's ever, in fact, in federal court said rules can be followed routinely, established practice that is the same as ordinances, then I think we'll be fine. Otherwise, you'll probably have a similar ordinance before you on the 24th so that we can simply pass that ordinance and then take steps almost immediately to recognize the sale.
So, yeah, we wouldn't have to have a hearing or anything in order to pass that ordinance and then proceed.
Not on that.
we've already had a public hearing on
We've already had the public hearing, yes. On this parcel, we've
part.
already had the public hearing.
But as far as the ordinance goes, we could just pass it and move on forward.
Correct. I am going to be looking at whether or not it can be retroactively reached back if there's ever been a challenge to that. That will be the next consideration that we'll have to address at the same time.
Thank you.
I will be speaking against the motion. I think that we should move tonight and wait for, on the actual closing of the property until we have a legal opinion. I think that we owe that to those that did and in the process not exercise the actual closing. I think the closing's out in a couple months anyway. I think the council needs to act just so the potential buyer knows that what the council's intention on. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. So if I understand right, you're suggesting that we proceed with ratifying the resolution that's been proposed because based on the closing time, if there is something that legal finds that needs to be addressed, we have the ability to still come back and address that at that point.
That's how I would see it. It's not a closing tomorrow or anything like that, and that'll give a couple weeks. I'm confident that our attorneys can establish procedure. I'm not worried about that. I know that there's been one resident that has challenged maybe sour grapes. I'm not sure, but I just think that we owe it to those who did. If you'd like to comment.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this actual sales contract has to come before you anyhow.
Yes.
So that, that takes a few weeks.
Councilmember Funny.
So I guess my question then would be to Mr. Bricky is which approach would be your professional opinion, which approach would be the best, or which would you prefer?
Well, under our form of government, I'm going to fall back to this. The manager's going to tell me what you guys want me to do, and I'll do it. comfortable because I understand what the mayor's suggesting. I think that is a position we can take, and if we get uncomfortable about as we get closer to that closing date, I will certainly give you the risk of moving forward. And if you decide to take that risk, that's certainly, you're right. But I am really uncomfortable because I feel like that you're waiting on allowing me to make a decision for you seven and the manager. I'm okay. You guys tell me what to do and we'll get it done.
Councilmember Newton.
Yeah, that concerns me, acting before something's in place. Would it be possible to approve this on condition of putting that ordinance in place in the future?
That would probably be even the best of both worlds.
Okay, good.
Councilmember McConaughey.
If that would be a substitute motion, I would be happy to let that take place.
I will make that a substitute motion.
So we have a motion, a substitute motion.
I would second the substitute motion.
Substitute motion from the mayor, Councilmember Newton, and a second by Councilmember McConaughey. Discussion to that motion. Let's go.
Councilmember Jacob?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Newton?
Aye.
Mayor Rawl?
Yes.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
Item 8B, discussion and possible action regarding a newly proposed interactive spreadsheet regarding water fees for the future. Steve Lane?
Thank you, Mayor. 2 weeks ago at the previous council meeting, council asked staff to create an interactive spreadsheet that would allow us to run several scenarios and try different possible rate increases for the water fund. We've created that spreadsheet. It's been emailed to council last week, and some of us have been able to use it in the last few days. Staff certainly has some ideas of possible scenarios, ways we could spread the increases over the next few years, although we have learned by looking at the numbers that the most important change is the first change, which could be in July, first and second changes in July and January. And that's simply because of the way the numbers work. Having a significant increase as soon as possible will obviously raise our cash, our revenues and our cash balances. And also because of the compounding of the percentages over time will maintain that higher level every year in the future. I'm also aware that council has some other scenarios they've been considering recently. I'd be glad to show you some of those on the screen if you'd like, or do you have some questions or other proposals that you'd like to discuss?
Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is, 2 weeks ago on the chart that you presented for us,
Pardon me.
okay, 2 weeks ago on the chart that you presented to us, we had the $1.50 per 1,000 gallons for residential, and we had 2 tiers on there, and on the small tiers, do you recall what that percent was on those 2 tiers?
Did you say 2 tiers or 3 tiers?
Well, with the base rate plus 2 tiers, so I guess technically that'd be 30.
Okay. Yes, we had 3 tiers on the scenario 2 weeks ago. And let me take a look at that. The residential tiers were $1.50, $1.54, $1.58.
And what is that percentage?
Just off the top of my head, it's approximately 2.5%.
And then on the table you presented for us today, what are those percentages on those tiers?
I could give you that number, but keep in mind that that's not a proposal. That's just a screenshot of the interactive spreadsheet. But let's take a look at those. So in other words, the numbers that you see are the numbers that happened to be there at the time that I made a copy. It looks like 15% increments between the tiers.
Thank you.
Sure.
I believe, my opinion, since no one else is chiming in right now, is that this council needs to move on the immediate need for July 1st and raise the water rate to all. We've already raised it to the commercial users and the multifamily, but to the single family, we need to move to the 150 per thousand rate immediately. And I believe also that the rest of this discussion needs to take place at some point in the future. That will give the immediate impact to the baseline of the water rate. And, I'm certainly not going to support 10% for 2 more years after this, especially when our rate goes up only 1.8% next year. I could support raising the Tier 1 water rate, minimum water rate to 150 per thousand. I'd like to hear from council. Councilmember Burton.
I would agree with that, Mayor. I would like to reflect back to the numbers we had 2 weeks ago for the 154 and 158 for the other 2 tiers. And I would also like to delay or postpone the conversation for the other rate increases for the future years until staff has an opportunity to meet with the Chamber of Commerce and businesses to work with them to help them understand the purpose and need for our continued rate increases so that we are all doing this together and not fighting each other. So I would be in favor of that.
I'm sorry, before I go to the next one, I need to state the reason that I would support moving immediately. We are subsidizing 46 cents per 1,000 gallons for a major population in our city right now. Currently, what we're paying for raw water versus what they're being charged. So it's 46 cents per 1,000 that are being subsidized. And I want that corrected immediately. So that's why. Sorry about that. Councilmember McConaughey, I didn't get that statement.
Thank you, Mayor. Steve, can we see the spreadsheet real quick?
The actual spreadsheet or scenarios from it? Because I don't have a laptop here, but if I sit where Brian is, I could pull it up pretty quickly. Would you like to?
While that's being brought up, I just want to share a couple quick thoughts on where I'm coming from as I'm framing this. First of all, I agree very much with what's been said, so my intent is to look at where we're at right now for the structure and figure out a place to go forward from here. As I'm looking at this and trying to figure out what rates I'd like to see, the way I'm trying to calculate this is trying to figure out what's the total cost to actually run our water department. What's the total amount of water that runs through it, and what does it cost to run the full water department? I'm not making any adjustments for availability charge or anything like that, just top level, what does it cost per 1,000 gallons? If I take the total number of gallons that went through the system in 2016 and and divide that by the total cost of the water system minus the capital projects that are paid for by impact fees, I come up with a number of about $2.36 per gallon is what I call, or per thousand gallons. Yeah, a little difference there. $2.36 per thousand gallons comes through the system. The availability charge helps offset that, but as Mayor Walt, as you mentioned, I think there are a lot of folks that are seeing a subsidy, which is helping drive the numbers into the ground and make it unsustainable. So that 236 is overall average cost. 236 per thousand gallons is kind of what I'm looking towards. As we're looking at, can you zoom out a little bit on the screen? So what I'd like to see is what impact it would be.
You want to see the graph?
Not necessarily. I want to see that top section where you've got the row 41 through 45, basically, right there. So the new tiers, if we were to put that, and again, the $1.50 is the average cost of supply, right?
Approximately right now.
Okay. And then we have the availability charge that on residential properties is supposed to help offset the fixed cost. So between the two, I'm hoping to see an average of about $2.36 per gallon. Really, I'm thinking if we start at the $1.50 and look at a difference between tiers of 15%, that's what I would like to see us go to start with. And then again, commercial, I understand we're not making any changes to that until the first of the year, so this would really just impact the residential. That's what I would like to see for the commodity charge. And then I'll hold off conversation about the availability charge until we comment on this. But that's what I'm thinking. So I'll turn it back to the chair for additional comment.
Other comments, Council? Councilmember Jacob?
Thank you, Mayor. Steve, can you zoom out a little
I'm
more?
having a hard time with this pad, but I'm trying to zoom out.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Going from $1.04 to $1.50 on tier 1 is a 44% increase, which is really big, to do all at once. Now I'm looking at the graph there. Ooh, no, I'm not looking at the graph. Looking at the graph, and we're staying in the black at that rate with not a ton to spare, with some to spare. So I would like to look at lowering that first tier rate a little bit below $1.50, or maybe the availability charge. I won't have suggestions on this, but $1.04 to $1.50 is just really, really steep. What does the graph look like when we go to $1.40 on tier 1? I would love to have played with this in advance, but my employer doesn't do Microsoft, so my laptop doesn't have Excel on it. I tried it in Google Sheets and it doesn't work. So,
which numbers did you want to see?
so just tier 1, right there where your cursor is, just put $1.40. Okay, we still come out in the black. Not as pretty in the black, but we're still in the black there. I'd be okay with maybe raising, and here's just some thoughts to throw out there, raising the difference between tiers to be higher so the top number leave it at 15, the next number maybe 18, and the number below that 20, just to further encourage conservation. As a thought. And then maybe go down to the availability charge. And again, I wish I would have been able to play with this in advance. I'm sorry I didn't bring it up. Let's take the availability charge from 18 to 15 on July 1st. Not that one. Oh, not that one.
Gotcha.
July 1st. And then let's see the graph.
And then keep these at 5.
Yeah, keep those the same. I'm really mostly concerned with the most immediate impact. So that leaves us still in the black there for the 2017-2018. Those are the numbers I'm most immediately concerned with. We can change the other ones going forward as we need to, like the 2020, like has been mentioned. We can
wastewater rate.
I understand that, but, you go from getting a great big discount for a long time to now having to pay full retail. It's like what Walmart just did, right? They don't price match anymore, and now you've got to go and actually pay what's on the shelf. It's a big shock to some people, so.
Anything to do is going to be a good shock, but you want to subsidize it.
Well, for
You're a
1 year,
subsidy.
yeah, and we'll tackle the further increases as we go along. We've been subsidizing, I'm just saying we subsidize less. We move in the right direction, maybe we just don't move all at once. That's kind of been my thought of this entire discussion we've been having for the last several months is hey, let's smooth the increases out over more than 1 year so we're not trying to go from operating at a deficit for a long time to all of a sudden operating at the right amount or at the surplus level, and to have a longer-term plan. So those are my two kind of guiding principles on this, and I would just like to minimize the impact for the most immediate. I'll leave it at that. Feel free to play with the numbers. What I'm trying to do is just leave us in the black for immediate needs and minimize the immediate impact. So that's my guiding principle there. Thanks.
Councilmember Anderson, you're next, but while we're on this graph, I'd just like to show why we will stay in the black by a lot more. If you take the 2017 estimate and add the $5.4 million that we didn't spend of this year's water budget in the water, because we had $6.5 million in the budget this last year, and we only spent $1.1 million of that 6.5. So if you roll that 5.4 back into 2017, which I'm going to make sure happens, you're going to be at the $10 million mark and above, starting in 2017. So the graph won't show anything near what it shows here currently. Okay. Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to ask several staff members some. Number one, let me back up, sorry. Number one, I calculated my water rates because I'm kind of tracking what I'm contributing to the city, so I have a good feel of what I'm contributing in taxes and fees to the city, and I have an understanding of that. Moving the base rate to $1.50, and this is skewed a little bit, because I didn't go into the other tier. In fact, Steve, if you could slide down just to those tier rates, I can calculate this a little better. But just if I use 7,000 gallons, I am $3 a month more on my winter, but I'm paying for the water that I'm using. If that makes sense. So it's a 40% 44% increase, and for me it's a $3 a month winter usage. And obviously at these rates I would have a little better control of my watering in the summer. The other question that I have, and maybe Bill can answer, or even Wendell can answer this, is there's a desire or there's a need to build some water tanks to increase a capacity of 18 hours of storage. And the desire is to bond to build more water tanks. And so we as a council have to find what is these rates so that we can still provide water. And this to me is a little bit different than fees for streetlights in the parks, because this is consumables. This is something we have to provide and we have a responsibility for. But these numbers, the 15,555 going to $1.50, what does that do for our ability to bond for tanks? Either Bill or Wendell.
Well, first of all, we need to build 2 reservoirs this coming year, and another reservoir the year after, plus purchase a site for another one. The issue that we have is if we don't move forward with the bonds, which being able to pay or to raise this rate will allow us to build those reservoirs. And if we don't, then we're going to be in trouble as far as fees
As far as the rates related to the bonding, there's no water rate increase with the debt coverage ratio. We cannot obtain financing. And then last council meeting, option 2, there was a staff proposal, and with that proposal, we could obtain financing for $10 million in 2018 and $10 million in 2019. And there was another option, 7% annual increase. And with that option from 2018 to 2022, we could not get financing as well. So those are the 3 options I've looked at.
Okay, is there an ability to use some of the slush fund or rainy day fund, whatever you want to call it, the surplus, the reserves, to offset the amount that we need to bond? So it's kind of a share. We bond for some, we pay for some out of our reserves?
No, the debt coverage ratio is based on revenues, less expenses.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with the reserves.
Okay. And so my last comment is, we're in this because prior councils hadn't raised rates for a number of years, 3 years, right? Is it 3 or 4?
Coming up on 4 next month.
Okay, so, you know, I don't know, I'd like to get to the point where we have a 5-year projection. I'd like to get to a point where we can raise it by the cost that we purchase water and not have these droughts in increases and then having to figure out how to solve that problem. I think business would like dependability and reliability and predictability. I don't think business necessarily wants a 0%. I think they are okay having the cost goes up. And so those are my comments. Those are my thoughts about just making sure that we're balancing what our future needs are, being responsible to provide water to our residents, and paying for what we're using. Thank you.
Councilmember Connie.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick comments about the percentages. I agree, it is definitely a bit of a jump to go from $1.04 to $1.50. It's a 44.23% increase. However, there's 2 portions of it. Because we're working on a scale that's so very, very small, the percentages skew the picture. So if you don't look at it holistically, you're missing part of the picture. So from an individual, from the perspective of an individual account or just an individual homeowner, that percentage seems significant. But from a dollar perspective, if I use 7,000 gallons of water per year, 7,000 gallons of water per month, it would be a $3.22 difference, which when you look at that in comparison to the rest of the utility bill is very, very small. The other thing is I have a spreadsheet in front of me that shows rate or usage. By the way, thank you, Bill, for providing this. This was actually used for the sewer conversation. I was able to obtain a list of average winter usage for the various accounts, all nearly, 23,000 of them. The average usage is actually about 5.33 thousand gallons of water per family during those winter months. So about 5,300 gallons of water for culinary. So even if we go the full 7,000 gallons of water, it's $3.22 a month, which on an individual level doesn't make a huge amount of difference. But if you look at that spread across all of the various users in the entire system, it has a big impact on the system. So this is something that, yes, percentage-wise it's substantial. Dollar-wise, it's not. And more importantly, you're paying for what you use. If we continue the subsidy, A, I don't think people realize that there's a benefit to the subsidy that they're getting, and B, financially, it's just not sustainable. So I would not be in favor of anything less than the cost of supply for that first tier. And I would like to stick, just for ease, I would say a 15% difference between the others. I'm ready to make a motion, but I know there's not yet spoken, so I will.
You have the floor. Motion would be in order if you choose to.
As a courtesy, at least to Councilmember Burton, who's still on the list, I will return the floor over.
Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilman McConaughey. I was going to make a motion, but I will put that back to you tonight. However, because I think we need to make a change now, and as for the future dates, I think we ought to get back and spend some time researching that and get back and set a date when we will look at the future dates and see how we want to address those. So going back to today's date, I agree that we should be the 150 there. I don't like the 15% tiers. I think those are big tiers and will cause our residents to have tiers. So I would like to keep those smaller. I think if you make them big percentages, it becomes a punishment instead of being education, which I think is what the purpose that is for. Is kind of like I drive a vehicle that gets very good gas mileage, but sometimes I use this vehicle, I have a trailer I pull on there, and it gets real poor gas mileage. And I don't think because I pull my trailer so I go do a job someplace, that I should pay a larger rate for my fuel because I'm getting worse mileage and I'm paying more for it anyway, and I'm totally aware of that, and I know my bill is going up, and I still don't do things to conserve. I do a real good job coasting down hills and things like that, and I think most residents do a good job knowing that they water more or have a bigger yard or more landscaping, they're going to have to pay more, and putting that punishment on there won't change that because they're already aware of that and already doing what they can to conserve. So I would like to move those numbers back down to the 2.5% that we talked about originally on the tiers. If you could do those numbers and start at 150, if that would be the case, I would move, we adopt those rates right now, and that I would direct staff to get with the Chamber of Commerce to communicate with our businesses and with council members, and come back at our second meeting in September with a proposal for January 1st of 2018.
Please, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Well, actually, we have a motion.
Yeah, that's true.
We have a motion on the floor. Can you show the graph now, Steve, at the top after you made those changes so everyone can see them? There's a motion on the second table. We have, it will die for lack of a second, so. Councilmember Newton.
I'm in agreement with what we need to do. I don't think it's quite appropriate to do it tonight because it was agendized as looking at this spreadsheet. I think I would support a proposal that of a specific rates that we put it on the agenda for next council meeting so that those that are involved can come and comment and we can get feedback in the meantime. Like I say, I am in favor of doing that. I just don't think we ought to do it tonight.
Just so that you know that we've pumped this for since January 27th. You were here. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. I am kind of going the same direction as Councilmember Burton on a number of those things. I think there were a few too many moving parts or moving pieces to the motion. Could we go back to the tiers? Thank you. Could we change that to the 15 for each? And this is where I'm a little bit of disagreement with Councilmember Burton. Although I think these tiers are meant to be educational, I do think that it's appropriate that there be a reasonable spread between them. And I actually really like the example of driving the vehicle because that helps show some of the other aspects. For example, when you're driving a vehicle, not all of the costs are worked into the cost of fuel. There's an assumption that the cost of fuel is paying for all the roads that you're driving on. We know full well that the money that comes from those taxes is not sufficient, and we have to come up with other funding for those roads. We also know that there's an impact on air quality and there's an impact on health. So there are other costs that are not immediately associated with the cost of driving the vehicle. So with water, this is one of the few places where government three-tier plan. Instead of 4 tiers, I would say 3 tiers, starting at $1.50 for the bottom tier, with 15% between each, and those rates would take effect July 1st of this year. That is my motion. 3 tiers, base tier at $1.50, 15% spread on the tiers, taking effective July 1st. And then there's further direction to staff regarding the commercial, but that's not part of the motion. That would be after.
I'm leaving the availability charge at 15% increase. Is that, staff needs to know exactly what we're.
I want to take this in 2 separate pieces. I'm not ready to talk about the availability charge quite yet. I'm not sure that I want to see that dramatically change to the availability charge. Just the commodity cost is the part that has me primarily concerned. So that right now is the focus. If someone else has a second motion after this one to review the availability charge, I would not. That wouldn't impact this.
I will second that motion. We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey, a second by Mayor Wall. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. Steve, can you show the graph based on what's included currently?
Sure. And keep in mind, we do have the 15% in availability right now.
You're stealing my thunder.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, scroll up. Let's see what's in there. Okay. And if we go back down and we put the availability chart, this is why I don't want to consider them 2 separate pieces, is because I can't see the graph with them separated up. So change that to, let's just say 5, just for kicks. And let's see the graph again. Yeah, okay, that's kind of what I was afraid of. All right. In this particular motion, I'll be opposed to the motion because of the reason I stated previously and what I just said. I think it has to be considered at once, just so I can, for me, I need to see the impact of the whole thing. And if our spreadsheet calculates out the plans together, I think we need to make the motion together. For example, if we decided not to raise availability charges, this commodity rate will not be sufficient. If we raise commodity or availability charges more, we can get by with a smaller increase on commodity rates. So again, I think we have to consider it all at once. Also, I'll be opposed to any motion that doesn't adopt a longer-term approach on this. I think the staff put in a lot of effort to go through a 5-year projection on this, and I think we need to start a long-term focus. Again, kicking the can down the road. Again, maybe it's only half a can, but we're kicking half the can here. And I want to see that long-term focus passed. That's my 2 cents. Or 46 cents.
Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, Mayor. I see we still have the 15% on the 4th tier on the resi. And we want that to be 0, as I recall. So it was what the motion was.
Well, it is 0. It's multiplying 15% times 0 in this case.
Thank you for that. So I would strongly like to see those tiers smaller for the reasons I stated. However, I think we're moving in the right direction, and due to the importance of making something happen sooner than later, I would accept this as it is right now. And I like the idea of, and I appreciate the work staff has done to get us to this point. This has brought some very good discussions. Whereas in the first place, we were just kind of shooting from the hip, so this has been helpful. I don't think we're there where we need to be to discuss what our long terms are going to be and how we're going to approach that. Just putting numbers in here that we're just making up on the spot don't satisfy that. I think we have to have a better key for that. So I think we have time to do that still if we do this now, so I would be in favor.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, I'll be speaking in favor of this. And then Councilmember Jacob, I appreciate your forthrightness and transparency into your thought process. Where I'm in a little bit of a disagreement, I like the idea of doing this part separately, again, because there's so many moving pieces. And I think it'll be easier for us to reach consensus as a council if we can nail down one piece and say, okay, this is what this is going to be, and then nail down the other. Otherwise, there's an exponential increase in variables, and you get too many people going too many directions. I think it would make it much more difficult to try and do it in 2. That's why I wanted to do just the one. The other thought with the 5-year plan, I wouldn't want to hold, we know we need to make a change to the course relatively quickly, and I would not want to hold the immediate change that's necessary in order for us to get everything for the next 5 years. So I would want to attack this part and get the current changes done. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I would like to follow up with instruction to staff for coming up with a longer-term plan and conversation about how that should play out, because I'm not sure if I agree with what's on the rest of the spreadsheet, but because of the urgency and the need to address the issue now, that's why I would be in support of this. The other thing that I would add is Mr. Murphy was kind enough to share with us some information earlier, actually just with 3 of us information just prior to this meeting, about what's impacted by these water rates and the areas within the city. There are 2 water districts smack in the middle of the city where we're primed for development. Those are the primary portions that need to be built out. And if we don't make the correction quickly, it's going to prevent us from allowing development to happen in that part of the city. We heard from the city manager earlier, we're talking about the tentative budget. There's a good portion of that budget that is dependent on that anticipated growth. That growth can't happen without water. I think the quote was, growth follows the water. Therefore, I don't want to hold up the current need to have a fix in order to have that 5-year plan worked out a little bit more. I agree we need it, but I'm in favor of this motion without that plan at this time, and I would encourage the same. I would encourage that consideration. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to support it as well. I do worry a little bit about the 15% tier increases. I also, though, I don't want this to drag out. We need to come up with a 5-year plan for residents, at least a 5-year plan for our residential customers and our commercial customers. And so I don't want it, if we adopt this tonight, I don't want it to be done. I want it to, we still have the dialogue, we still come up with a way where there's some predictability so that we can, long-term, just have the increase that the wholesaler provides. Wholesaler provides 90% of our water, 85 to 90% of our water, and they're going to have an increase each year, and we need to get to that point and do that. So I'm in favor with this immediate fix, but I would like to see the dialogue continue. Thank you.
So, which leads to my question, Councilman McConaughey, when do you want to look at the availability charges and the rest of it?
The availability charge, as soon as this motion is taken care of, I'd like to see discussion about the availability charge. As far as the longer-term plan, I would suggest starting in July, as soon as the current or the upcoming budget is, actually, I guess we could start the second council meeting in June, or as soon as we've adopted the budget for the next fiscal year, then I'd like to turn our attention back to this.
So you want us to do that tonight? You're just breaking it into 2 parts tonight. Okay.
Let's vote.
Councilmember Burton.
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe.
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
No.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
Councilmember Newton.
Aye. Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-1 in favor.
Is it appropriate to ask a question at this time?
Please.
What was just approved?
So the residential tier structure with that bottom rate starting at $1.50 and then the 15% difference between the tiers with an effective date of July 1st.
And 3 tiers, not 4?
Correct, 3 tiers.
And what about commercial and landscape rates?
Those were not touched in that conversation, just residential. Neither was availability, so I'm assuming there'll be continued conversation about those other elements.
Okay.
I move to raise the availability charge 15% for the residential customers in the city.
Second.
I have a motion by Mayor Rolfe, second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Jake.
Thank you, Mayor. The graph or the table that we're looking at applies the increases to availability charge across all availability charges. So I just wanted to clarify, you mean residential only and not commercial at all?
For the July, I should have made May.
Effective July 1st.
Effective July 1st.
And only residential.
Only for the residential.
Okay, then I have a question for staff. The several $1 million that we've referred to a few times that was budgeted for the current year that has not been spent for the current year, is that money built into this graph already? In other words, when we look at this number up on the graph part, and we look at the green bars here with the unrestricted cash, it's getting smaller from last year to this year, from this year to next year. Does that already include carrying over money that we don't spend this year?
The expense line, the blue line, the red line, includes all capital projects on the strategic plan that are intended to be funded by rates, but not projects that are funded by impact fees. So it includes all those capital projects and fixed costs and the cost of water itself. In other words, all costs.
Okay. So this year's projected cost, the 2017 estimate number on here, those projected costs, the red line, assumes that we're going to spend all of that $6 million that the mayor keeps referring to? $6 million?
You can't project that because it was already assumed that it was spent in 2017 fiscal year, 16-17.
Well, it's almost over.
So because we've only spent 1.1 million of it.
Right, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking just to see if the expenses in here are tracking on 1.1 million or if they're tracking on 6 million.
I don't know about the 6 million, but they're tracking all capital projects that are planned to be built this year, yes.
I might have a better answer for that. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for giving me a chance to answer that question. The way capital projects sometimes have to happen is they straddle your fiscal year. Because we're right in the middle of the construction season, right in the middle of the year, we're getting a lot of these projects designed and bid out early spring. And what actually happens to the money is it's carried over in the CAFR for that particular project. We may or may not have a contractor online yet for some of this work, but we're vigorously working on the designs that will obligate that money. And so, yes, we can play a little bit of a cash flow game with this, but at some point, the contractor's going to be on board and that money will be obligated. So, in essence, yes, you do have more cash in the bank, but eventually that cash will dry up very quickly in the following fiscal year because the contractor may be on board and then that gets expensed out rather quickly. So because of the nature of where we're at in our fiscal year versus calendar year, that happens to us every year, especially in capital.
Dave, stay right there.
Sure.
How many years since you've been here have we ever spent $6 million on water projects in the?
I can name the years. 2000 and 2000.
I'm talking about tanks now that we bonded for. I'm talking about expended on
water projects.
2000, 2001, 2002. West Side Water System, 3 years. 3 years running. Meaning, when we obligate for a large project, yes, we have spent that money.
So, just to make it clear for everyone, can you pull that graph up?
Sure.
If you look at the spike in 2018, it's about a $7 million spike, plus the $6 million that will be carried over from this year, would mean we would spend $13 million in 2018, according to that definition you said.
Can I clarify that a little bit? The reason I had this other sheet up, this is the actual expenses that are behind the chart for the current year, 2017. We're not assuming $6 million. I don't know where that number comes from, but we're assuming $2.6 million. You might be looking at all capital projects, including impact fee projects. This is only showing the projects that are funded by rates.
I'm only going off of the budget that we were given just last month, or 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I don't have the availability of anything else other than what we're given on the budget numbers. The 6.5 for the fiscal year 16, 17, and it was 6.5, and we, according to the documents that all council were given, 1.1 of it spent. I mean, we're only a month away from being done with this year. And if we stay by the rules, nothing's supposed to be expended in the last 2 months that wasn't already appropriated. So I don't want to be argumentative. I'm just looking at the figures that have been given to me. I got them on my desk. I can walk in there and get them. I showed them to Councilmember Newton this morning. You saw them, right?
I guess my only point is that if we do spend only 1 point something million, that's pretty close to 2 point something million. There might be a $1 million amount that gets carried over to next year.
Okay, back to the council. Councilmember Jacob. Councilmember Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to double check where we are. We have a motion to increase the residential availability charge 15% effective July 1st, correct? And it was already second, right? Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to double check, make sure I had my bearings. Thank you.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yeah, I just, so on the city manager approved budget tentative budget that we adopted earlier tonight, on page 195 under water department, third line item from the bottom has water project $6.4 million as an adjusted budget for 16-17. So am I to assume part of that is availability projects that are funded off of that, and then the rest are off of impact fees?
Yes, I don't know the exact numbers, but there's always a split, and over time it's generally pretty close to 50-50.
Okay. Is that what you were thinking of, Mayor? All right, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Let's vote.
Everybody's part of the motion, correct?
This is the motion, yes.
Okay. Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
No.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember Newton?
Yes.
Councilmember Cunningham?
Aye.
Vote passes 5-1 in favor.
Business item 8C, reconsider resolution 17-30, considering the proposed changes to the sewer residential fee structure and other billing items. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, if I could share my screen. Yes, please. Okay. And before I move this over, I try to avoid reconsiderations when possible. However, when we discussed in our last council meeting changing the sewer rate structure from a pay-for-use structure to a flat fee structure, I think we got this one wrong. I had voted yes, and since I was on the side that prevailed, I do have the ability to bring this back for reconsideration. That's what I'd like to do. The primary reason is.
Yeah, we need a motion first.
Do I need to explain why I'm moving to reconsider?
I just want to make sure we didn't do that.
Well, if it will save us time, I'll just go ahead and make the motion to reconsider. Can we do both at the same time, or do we have to do one after the other?
We have to do one after the other because the motion to reconsider required a 2/3 vote.
I move to reconsider resolution 17-30.
Councilmember Burton.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey, a second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Newton.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
Councilmember Jacob.
Aye.
Mayor Wall.
Yes.
Councilmember Burton.
Yes.
So it passes 6 in favor.
Please continue.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So resolution 17-30 really doesn't have too much meat behind it, other than there were 4 points that were brought out. One, staff was asked to prepare changes to the consolidated fee schedule consistent with our request. 2, they were going to bring that to a future council meeting. Number 3, there was going to be an ordinance change regarding the sewer billing fee. And number 4 was the effective date. So this was really a resolution to give direction to staff. I don't know that we really need to pass this resolution again with the change that I would make. The only change that I would really make is, well, it talks about changing the sewer fee structure. And I would remove that part. I'd leave the trash, the solid waste as is. I don't know that anything needs to be done to pass that one since it was just direction.
Is that a motion?
Not necessarily a motion. I think we're just done with business item 8C.
I'll ask a clarification question.
Councilmember Jacob.
I'd be happy to let Melanie ask her question first because she might be asking the same question.
Please.
So does that leave resolution 1730 in effect as it was written?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now so we got.
Because it was adopted.
Okay. So, thank you for the clarification. I'm thinking along the same route, it's just not all making it out through my mouth. So, given that this is just direction to staff, I don't really think it's necessary that we keep the resolution there. Therefore, I move that we rescind resolution 17-30.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey, a second by Councilmember Jacob. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, let's vote.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm confused, sorry. You are saying we're going to go back to what we've been doing? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you. These are brand new. We only got them the day before you came in. So there's 2 parts to this. Part number 1 was this resolution that said the fee structure was going to change. Part number 2 is the ordinance 17-18, which is the next piece that I'll be talking about. And that's where we actually say, no, let's not change the structure. So the resolution was direction to staff to bring us back something to make that change. And that's why I'm saying we can do away with that because we already have everything from them. And it's really the ordinance that I believe needs to be reconsidered. But because these both came to us as a package deal, they're being reconsidered as a package deal as well.
Let's vote.
Councilmember Burton,
Yes.
Councilmember Newton, Mayor Robb,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes.
The vote passes 6 in favor.
Item 8D, reconsider ordinance 17-18, amending the 2009 West Jordan Municipal Code Title 9, Chapter 2, Article A, Section 5, regarding utility service fees. Councilmember McConaughey.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Before we get too much further, seeing as we're 30 seconds away from the top of the hour, I would move that we suspend the rules to allow the meeting to extend beyond 9 p.m.
To a time specific or game time? We've got a long closed session after this.
And given that we've just got one other business item after this, and then the closed session, I would not put a time on that.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember McConaughey, a second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion of the motion. See none, let's vote.
Mayor Robb,
Yes.
Councilmember Newton,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Burton,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes.
The vote passes 6 in favor.
Please.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And now we see why reconsiderations are encouraged to be very infrequent. So this is the ordinance that was passed that said we're going to change the structure of how sewer rates are billed. Again, before I get too much into that, unless there's a need for me to explain why I'm suggesting the change, I'll make a move for the reconsideration and share my information. So I would move that we reconsider ordinance 17-18.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember McConaughey, a second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion of the motion. Let's vote.
Mayor Robb,
Yes.
Councilmember Burton,
Yes.
Councilmember Newton,
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes.
The vote passes 6 in favor.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you. Hopefully you'll be done hearing from me shortly. So as we talked about the impact of changing the sewer rate structure to a flat fee, there were a couple things that were suggested. Number one, this would simplify the billing process to make it easier to explain. Number two, it would be revenue neutral. And number three, it would not have much of an impact on residents based on average rates. It would just be a few pennies. Since that conversation, there were a couple thoughts that came to mind. Number one is, what is really the impetus for the change? We've built like this for over 30 years. Why now? Why the sudden change? In my conversation with staff, it kept coming back to, well, we've switched systems. So from a system perspective, it's much easier to bill a flat rate than it is to go the route that we have in the past. And I can appreciate that. However, I don't think it's right that we make a policy decision based on technological constraints. I think the technological issue needs to have a technological solution rather than just the rate adjustment. Number two, as I started looking further into the detail of how much of a financial impact this had and who was impacted, I don't think I fully understood at our last meeting the impact that it had. What you have in front of you is the average. You've got a whole bunch of numbers that don't make sense until I walk you through it. But these are the number of accounts that have an average rate. So you can see we have 2,200 accounts in our system out of a total of about 21,000. So just over 21,000 utility accounts. 2,200 are being billed at the base rate of $16.19 for sewer. That means the water usage, at least currently, is essentially zero. When I asked about this, I found out that the reason for some of this is because of issues with the system and meter reading and meter replacement. So not all of these, it may be the case that not all of these are really zero water usage, but again, it comes back to the argument, a technological issue needs a technological solution. Additionally, if there's issues with the water rates, then we're still having an issue on the water side, and somebody still has to go out, figure out what actual usage is, and compare the billing that way. So, regardless, we have 2,200 accounts that are being billed a flat rate of $16.19. So here's the total amount billed. Here's the variance. If we were to change these to the proposed rate of and up here you'll see I've got the new rate, the flat rate of $24 a month. That means you've got 2,200 accounts who are going to see an increase of $7.81 a month, which is 35% increase, which translates to $93 per year. There are 2,200 households that would see an increase of almost $100 a month. You look at the other accounts that are out here that are under that $24 limit, and let's just assume that all of those that are coming in at $16.19 are areas with billing. We still have we still have over 12,000 accounts, you'll see down here, 12,349 accounts that are below that $49 limit. You'll see that this range that's still a pretty good range. On average, you're looking at about $50 per year annual increase. I had a real hard time telling somebody that their rate's going to be raised $50 per year because of the technological issue. And again, when you look at the number of people that's impacting, or number of accounts, we're looking at roughly 14,500 accounts. You come down and look at the folks that would benefit. So 14,500 are going to see an increase in rates. You look at the decrease, you've only got 6,800 folks who are going to see a decrease in the rates. And some of those, I mean, you look at this one, this person is going from $133 per month down to just that $24 per month. This person's saving $1,300 per year. Somebody's saving $1,300 per year while how many other people are having to pay an extra near $100 per month? As I started looking at this is where I thought, I don't think I got this right. So I would prefer that we stick with the approach of we pay for what we use, and where we're not sure exactly what we use, this is a pretty good method to get as close to that as possible. I'm going to hold my comments there because, again, it was pretty split council, and I think those of you who were in the minority that were patient and helped me see this a little bit better, but that's why I'm proposing the change. So, seeing as there are a few others that are ready to make comments, I'll hold off on any proposed motion. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. So on this chart, Councilmember McConaughey, the 2232 are people that are connections that pay the sewer charge but have zero reading of usage.
Correct. So here is the detail behind it. You'll see each of the individual account numbers, and you'll see their current usage shows zero. Again, that might be zero for a number of reasons. It could be a new home that didn't exist the prior year, so there's no history. It could be there's a new meter. It could be there was an issue with gathering the data. But yes.
Okay, thank you. And so the 2,200 households, and there's 21,000, 22,000 connections. That's 10% that are not reading, which could be other unrelated issues to this topic, but defective meters or something along those lines. So I appreciate the effort that you've put into this. Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to thank Councilman McConaughey for bringing this back for consideration and for putting the spreadsheet together to validate what I believed, but I have the numbers to show it. So this convinces me that rescinding this ordinance or this fee change or this way we're billing is a good idea, so I will support your motion.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. If there are no other comments, I'm ready to make a motion.
That would be in order.
I move that we rescind ordinance 17-18.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember McConaughey, a second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion to the motion. Just have one comment. Thank you for bringing this back. I think it's the right thing to do. And the sewer fund is one where we have in excess of operating expenses of more than 100% of the operating expenses for a year in surplus fund balance. Thank you. Let's vote.
Councilmember Jacob?
Yes.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Newton?
Aye.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
The vote passes 6 in favor.
Business item 8F, review and update the city council assignments for various committees 2017. Yes, please. Does everyone have any? Or everybody's got it on the computer, I assume?
I have no problems. I sent them to you.
Everyone's got one. I'd like to start off by saying that the Jordan River Commission is a very important, since it runs the entire eastern boundary of our city, the Jordan River does. That is a very important committee, and I had it for nearly a year now, and every time it seems like something comes up, I can't make it to that meeting. I want to be there because the Jordan River is important to myself, it's adjacent to it, but I just don't seem to be able to make it. So I would be willing to give up that committee assignment if there's somebody that can actually make those monthly. And Councilmember McConaughey, you're the alternate, so I didn't know if that's something that you could look at doing with your schedule.
With the exception of June, I believe that is something that I'll be able to attend the majority of. So I would be happy to take over as primary.
And I'll be your backup. I still, it's important to me, but I failed almost for a full year now to be able to be there at the time when they've scheduled the meetings. And it's real important for the city applicants. Anyone else that has changes to that? Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. I would love to be TBD on the COG, Public Governments, the mayor and / TBD. I've been an alternate for the last little while. I don't think this is the most current, but I have been an alternate for the last little bit. I've been to one meeting, and I would just like to continue to attend that one if there's no objection.
Salt Lake County Council of Governments.
That's the one.
Anybody opposed to having Councilmember Jacob? It's yours.
I would be happy to be alternate on that.
Okay. Councilmember Burton is the alternate. That is one where a lot of times we have something that comes up here, and so I might have to call you like this the night before, and you as well. I'm sure we have 2 votes. Very good. Great. Any other changes?
I'm just wondering,
Well, no.
Yeah, you are.
You're replacing.
You're replacing Councilmember Hagan. Unless you have any. Councilmember Connie.
Thank you, Mayor. So on here, I noticed that the Arts Council does not have an alternate listed. I've been acting in that capacity for the last couple of years, so in fact, I thought I was the alternate. So I'd like to make that official. And then the other thing I would point out is with the Youth Committee and the Youth Theater, Youth Committee's basically defunct, and when we redid the committees, we asked the Youth Theater to roll up underneath Arts Council. So I would think Youth Theater and Youth Committee could both be stricken from this list, as they would really follow their Arts Council. And then again, as mentioned in the remarks earlier today, with the creation of the Cultural Arts Society of West Jordan, I know there's some changes that have been made there, so I'm not sure if Arts Committee assignment really needs to be made, or if it's more liaisons with the Cultural Arts Society of West Jordan, but we can probably leave that to legal to figure out. Just wanted to point that out.
Any opposition to Councilmember McConaughey taking that alternate position to the Arts Council and making these changes that he just described? You make it so?
Thank you.
Other changes? Councilmember Burke.
The other thing I think that we want to add on here is our airport committee.
Yes.
And I need it.
We need somebody appointed to be the primary.
If you don't want that, I'd be happy to take that.
I actually don't think I should.
You should take it, because you're the, that's right.
I'm supposed to take advice from Councilmember McConaughey.
With all due respect to Councilmember Burton, I think it would be appropriate for somebody with an aviation background to take that slot, which would be either Councilmember Nichols, Councilmember Newton, or myself.
I would be okay with that because I do see that there would be some advantage to that. I'm just very excited that we have this and I'd like to really see it happen. I don't think that you wouldn't, but I would be in favor of being there. So if any of you guys want to do that, I'd be happy to be an alternate.
I would be happy to take that one.
But it looks like I've been an alternate on almost everything.
Listen, anyone opposed to Councilmember McConaughey being the primary on that one, and who would like to back up? Councilman.
Yeah, well, you can back him up. I'm only going to be here 7 months, so that will be a reason for me not to do that. I'm happy to attend the meetings. In fact, I enjoy that. But we probably ought to have somebody who's going to be here for another couple of years.
And Councilmember Nichols has stated he is not running on it. So, okay. Is anyone opposed to Councilmember Burton taking the alternate position on that new appointment? Please.
If I can ask the mayor and council a question, City Manager Mark Hallish talked to me about advertising for members to fill this committee. Do you have specific requirements that you would like? I'm going to have Kim Wells put it in the journal and we'll put it on Facebook. Just residents?
All residents.
Any residents.
But we would suggest that they have knowledge.
Some knowledge of airport or
Navigation,
navigation. All right, thank you.
I think we can get them.
7.
Anyone opposed to those changes? Thank you so much.
I have one other question.
Please.
Sorry, and maybe our attorney, David Brickey, could agree with me or not. We're in the process, within the next month, of holding an employee discharge appeal hearing. And it was, Councilmember Jacob was appointed, and I know now he's got a full-time job, so it's really difficult. And we've had meetings during the day, and we have a hearing coming up within 30 days, potentially another one a few months after that. And I know Councilmember Nichols is the alternate, and he has a difficult time. So I don't know if we want to bring back another resolution to appoint people who can attend during the day. I don't know if you want to chime in.
Please.
There's going to be a very real likelihood that at least the first matter will be a full-day hearing. And I mean by that, it starts at 8 a.m., run through noon, a break, and then back 1:30 to 5. That's one employee. There's probably another employee that might begin that process 3 months from that date. So there is going to be some preparation. You'll be getting basically a brief that looks like an appellate document. So there'll be attached exhibits that include perhaps videos. So there'll be preparation in advance of the meeting or hearing that you'll have to consider as time committed to being ready for that as well.
Could I be the second backup, so the two that are appointed, because I'm here all day anyway, so would that be appropriate?
Zach is the appointed, I apologize, Councilmember Jacob is appointed as the main council member representative on the board. There's a 5-member board, 2 department heads, 2 employees that are elected by the entire employees, and then 1 appointed council member. So Councilmember Jacob is the appointed and Councilmember Nichols is the alternate. So I guess if we brought back the resolution to make a 3rd alternate, if that was the case.
I'd see no problem with that, and then allow for a justification if there's a conflict, if we're making a nice backup to the alternate.
Yeah, I don't have a problem attending a day-long hearing as long as I have notice. I can't do it if you tell me it's today or you tell me it's tomorrow. That is difficult. If you tell me it's in 10 days, that's not a problem.
Okay.
So as long as it's scheduled
And
well enough in advance, at least a week in advance, I shouldn't have too much trouble attending most of the time. So that's obviously an exception every week.
Yeah, the meeting we had
Monday.
I think that was more of a meeting with our attorney, because we have to have a separate attorney represent the board for us to meet with them and kind of get a background. So that was, I apologize, kind of a quick scheduling. So we should have additional time. Okay.
Longer notice I can usually make.
Is that all that we need on this item? Okay, let's.
I guess my only question would be for Councilmember Newton, if he wants all the spots that say Haga on the paper. For the next 7 months. So. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we had that on the books. Thanks.
Okay, that concludes the business items. We need to go back to consent item F. Approve resolution 17-80 authorizing the mayor to execute a local government contract modification between the UDOT, West Jordan City, and Parsons Transportation Group for pre-construction engineering for 5600 West, 7800 South to 8600 South project in the amount not to exceed $43,703.63.
Mayor, my question on that was has been answered. I met with Lionel and David when we had the break. That my only concern was that we were pre-construction, and I've been seeing construction going on out there for the last month or so, and so I was there, well, how come we're doing this? But they explained that it was just, what was going on was just the water and not the road. So I'm okay, we can go ahead and approve both of those.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
So you're talking
F and G.
Both together.
Both together.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion by Councilmember Newton and a second by Mayor Hall. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Jacob?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Newton?
Yes.
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
I need a motion to move to a closed session and adjourn from there for discussion of character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual. Strategy session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation. Strategy sessions to discuss purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, including any form of water right or water share.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Burton, a second by Councilmember Newton. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Newton?
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey? Councilmember Jacob?
Yes.
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Vote passes 6 in favor. And can I end it with saying you guys did a wonderful job tonight with the microphones, and I think it works better with staff's on.
We'll move